The first item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda for tonight.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Rich and Joe Jean, that's unanimous. Okay, we have a few people in attendance tonight. I always like to do our attendees first, and we have Joel Carter here tonight with a couple new builds as well as an attendee as a adjacent homeowner, I assume, or somebody interested in the new build. So first, let's start with, let's go with, wow, I guess we're going to go all the way down to Nicole and William. Is that correct? We didn't find out what William was for. I guess Nicole has a lot of issues on I think 4 applications for Green Hill Road. Guess we can do Michael, 31 Grandview. First, if they're in attendance tonight.
Sure.
31, that's 29 Grandview, I think, on my sheet. Yeah, 29 Grandview. If that's okay with everyone, we'll start out with item number 3, which would be 29 Grandview Lane.
That's Michael.
Yes, thank you, John.
All right, bringing him on over. There you go, Michael.
Good evening, Michael. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, yeah, it's Michael and Colleen. It's fine. We're the neighbors.
Okay, great. Yeah, so let's see. Does anybody have any comments or questions about the application? Joe Jean, Rich?
No, seems pretty straightforward. Everybody agrees that the trees can be removed. That's the letter I see here.
Yeah, it's trees between the 2 houses.
Yeah.
Well, I move to approve it. I have no problem with it.
I'll second.
Okay, so that's been approved by majority. And so that is item number 3. You have been approved.
We're good to go?
You are.
All right, well, thank you. That was easy enough.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Assuming
your
you
time.
have your county permits, make
Oh,
sure you have
thank
your
you.
county permit.
It's been submitted. I think we're just waiting to hear back. Yep.
Yeah, once you get that from them, then you're good to go.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Have a great evening.
And I'm just making that note, Rich. I appreciate that catch on there. So county permit absolutely required, and they are waiting for that. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, those
Okay,
are
that was item number 3. And then next we had, I guess would be Nicole. Did we find out what William was for?
I can bring William over real quick and we can check with him.
Real quick, if you wouldn't mind. If it's something quick, we'll do him real fast because Nicole has like 4 different items. So.
Hi, William. I brought you to the meeting.
Hello, I think you can hear me now.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
We
Yep.
can, thank you.
Awesome. I'm not actually here for a property.
Oh,
I'm here to kind of observe and see what happens. I applied for the environmental planner position with the community association, so I figured this
awesome.
was a good place to get some good information.
Well, awesome, man. Glad to have you here in the audience tonight. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thanks, William. I'll go ahead and move you back to the attendees.
Sounds good. Nice to meet you.
Okay, John, then we're going to go ahead with Nicole.
All right.
Since the rest are all new builds, so we'll do Nicole. That was for 5 Green Hill, so it'd be items number 11, 12. Oh, excuse me, items number 4, 11, 12, and 13. So we'll start with item number 4 first. Was a tree removal request. And let me get that paperwork up here.
Sorry, I had so many items. We just moved in and this is my first time requesting anything. So we just wanted to make some changes.
Yep, good. We'll take them one at a time here. So item number 4 was the tree removal. Any comments or questions?
Oh,
No.
look pretty dead to me. Good luck removing it. That's
Yeah.
gonna be expensive, I would imagine.
Yeah. It was at the recommendation of the landscaper. So I don't know. I may just have like the branches because it's the branches are all dead and dry and they kind of reach out. So I don't know.
You can have them take it down and leave like 25 or 30 feet still standing,
Mhm.
a habitat tree.
Oh, yeah.
And what you'll get are usually woodpeckers. That's what I get around my house, and
Yeah.
they'll usually build a nest in there, and you'll have a few woodpeckers for a few years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Better than
could-
them pecking at your house.
Yeah,
I've
true.
had that too. So
I've had that before, different house, yeah.
Okay, can we get a recommendation?
move to approve.
Second,
Okay, that's Rich and Joe Jean, and that's unanimous for item number 4. Now we'll drop down to item number 11, which is a fence request. Let me find that paper. Okay, I have that. So a couple questions, I'll start with a couple questions I had on there is, I didn't see a type of fence requested or,
I have that information now. I didn't have it at the time. The quote that I got, they didn't really explain exactly what type they wanted to do, but I do have that information now. I can forward it over.
and can you read what type it is? Can you tell us what it says?
Oh, shoot, here, let me see. Oh. It might take me a minute to find it if you want to move on to the next one.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And if you can't find it for now, what we would do is defer this until you were able to supply that information for us, just so
Okay.
you know. And then we'll just move on right now. We'll move on to the next one while you're
Okay.
looking for that one. So the next one is item number 13, exterior alteration request. I have seen notes.
you missed number 12.
Oh, did I skip 12? I did. I'm so sorry. Yeah, item number 12 is a shed. Well, I had issue with the shed. So there's a couple items on here. It shows that like the water feature and so forth.
Yes.
And I had no issue, just me now. We have Joe, Jean, and Rich also, but I had no issues with your water feature or your stairs you're proposing to go down. The big issue we had was a shed
Okay.
or that I have. We have 100 square foot max, and you're well over that.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that. So if it's that would be like a 10 by 10 or something.
Yeah,
then.
something like that.
Okay.
And then the
That's
other
fine.
thing, the shed has to, the shed is supposed to match your house.
Yeah.
So like the tough sheds and the plastic pre-made ones, like you can pick up at a million different places now. Those are typically, especially if they're going to be viewable from any angle,
Mhm.
we tend to shy away from those as well.
Yeah, I actually got a quote from Tough Shed, and they have the same cement siding that you can pick, and they even have metal roof, but it doesn't come in the same color. So I was just gonna get a regular shingle roof, but in the same color.
No.
But no, it has to match.
Yeah, well, it should be the same side. It should appear to be the same type of siding and same color. And the roofing material, I mean, as long as it's not a corrugated roof, I don't think that's at least I'm typically not that picky as far as what the roof is, as long as it looks similar to what you've got on the house. Because I know some people like to do wood shingles and things like that.
Yeah. I know because my house has a metal roof, so I know they have metal. I'll
Yeah.
have to see if they can get it in the same color is all. Okay.
Yeah, and then Nicole, is that 2 lots you guys combined 5 and 7?
Yes.
Okay, and is that a revocable trust on that lot? So you can bind them, right? The binding?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to make sure.
So yeah, so we shouldn't have any issues with coverage and stuff like that.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so on this request here, currently I would say no to the shed as submitted because it's submitted as way bigger. We have nothing else to say anything different. So right now I would have to say no. That's just where I'm headed. Yeah, Joe Jean, go ahead.
Can sheds, don't they have to be next to the house?
That sheds are supposed to be attached unless the topography for some reason prevents that from happening.
Well, so right, so I mean, you can see my properties on a hillside.
Yeah,
and the
I
only
would-
way, Mhm.
Yeah, I would be inclined to think that your property might be one to have a shed away from it for that reason.
Yeah, the only other way we could do something is have it come off the front of the house,
Yeah.
but that's a whole
Yeah.
different, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, and what you would do, so assuming that we're probably not going to approve the shed, you need to resubmit the shed plan with
Okay.
the details of the roof, the composition, and that it's going to match, and then you would submit a variance request to have it not attached to the house.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I see. Okay, I'll
Perfect.
do that. Thank you.
But all the landscaping and stuff looks fine to me.
Oh, it's
I
fine.
don't have
Okay.
any issues with any of that.
Yep. Joe Jean, are you good with that or do you have issue with this?
No, I don't have any issues.
Any questions, concerns or anything? You're good? Okay, Rich, you want to make that motion with your comments? Was perfect.
Yeah, move to approve everything except the shed.
Okay.
It's the easiest.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, and Nicole, just so you know, then you'll resubmit your shed and then ask for a variance request too, so it's detached. So we know it's gonna be detached.
Okay.
Okay, so we got that one, and then, did I get a second on that motion? Okay, Joe Jean seconds that. And that'll be unanimous on that one. And that is, Rich and Joe Jean, and that's unanimous. Okay, and then item number 13, which is also 5 Green Hill.
Move to approve.
Is this just a window?
Yeah, to replace it with a door, to be converted into a door.
Yep, I put, I did put approved and I wrote yes on the window. Okay, so that was the only thing. I don't know why I had yes on the window, like there was more than one thing on here, but
I would say as long as you have your county permits, but yeah, I moved to approve with the county permits.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would require since you already have an egress, but
yeah.
since, it might be a structural issue or something. I just make sure
Okay.
you check with somebody with the county to make sure it's okay.
Probably
Okay.
not, but always good to check, Nicole.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I'll second that one. Joe Jean, did you have any comments on that? Adding the door, taking out the window and adding the door?
No, it's fine with me.
Okay, so that has also been approved unanimous.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Appreciate your time this evening.
So, and then for the fence, just so we're clear, we
Yeah.
need to know, because we have several types of fences that are pre-approved. So we need to know the kind of fence that you want. And then I actually, in your second drawing, it's easier to tell where it is. But if your fence is not, if it's gonna be right up against the property line and against the back of your house there,
Yeah.
you need a variance request for it to be there because fences have to be set back 5 feet from the property line.
From the property line. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So-
what they're supposed to be, yeah.
So it would have to just be over a little bit, not even with the house, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, mark it with stakes, that way we can see where you're gonna put it and it makes it a lot easier for us, but
Yeah.
I just don't want you to submit it and then it get deferred again, because if you've got a contractor waiting to do the work, we want to make sure we get this approved if we can.
Right. Okay.
Hey, Nicole, that brings up actually a good point. One thing I had trouble discerning was your property corners. Like, you know how the retaining walls kind of joined up there together with the new build?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had trouble seeing where your property corner was, where your side line is, and how close your fence was going to be to that property.
Yeah, me too. Like I don't really I don't really know exactly where the line is. I was kind of guessing just based on, the plot map and kind of where, I don't know.
Yeah, so when they did that new build, they didn't stake that back corner back there, huh?
No, I don't see any, I don't see any markers at all.
I didn't see it either. I walked back there a bit. I didn't find a marker either, which struck as odd. And I know they kind of put the bark over onto your property and stuff. So I just had a hard time trying to decide where that property corner was. But so that could be an issue, but hopefully we'll get that resolved.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for your time and I appreciate it.
Oh, I just found,
Oh, okay.
I just found the document literally just now.
On your fence?
Yeah, on my fence. So it says post 4x4x8.
Okay,
And then rails 2x4x12, galvanized fence panel, cedar trim with post caps, cedar post caps. And then 4x4 bracket into concrete, concrete anchor bolts. And
so it doesn't say like deco mesh panels or anything. It just says galvanized fence. It's like a chain link fence is what it sounds like.
it's,
No, it sounds like a
No.
wooden wire.
It's-
Oh,
yeah, it's like the
oh.
wire and the wire looks black. They sent over a picture.
Yeah, wooden wire. That's correct. Wooden wire with a galvanized panel, but it's gonna be black.
Yes,
Okay.
The
like-
black is nice. It makes it blend in when you're looking through it. I'll say
yes,
that.
it is. It looks really nice.
How tall is it?
Oh, that's a good question. How tall is it? It's well, it says the posts are for, let's see, rails.
That's what I was wondering. It's 4x4x8, I think you said. You're gonna put them
Yeah,
in.
posts 4x4x8.
So we can't have 6 foot high. It can only be 60 inches.
Yeah, and it doesn't look. Maybe it's 4. I think it's actually 4 feet tall. That's what it looks like. It does not look like a tall fence.
Okay.
I think the 8 is the length.
Okay, and then the only other concern we have, or typically I have with fences and pet enclosures, is people tend to put their pets out there and then go to work all day and leave their dogs out there to bark all day long at deer,
Oh, yeah.
raccoon, and chipmunks and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it becomes an issue.
Yeah. My plan was to have a kind of a dog door for them to go in and out, but I don't know. My plan might change, especially with the, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work well, and I'm not 100% sure about it.
Okay, and then so the fence is still, it's not going to go beyond your property corner. Is that correct? Or your house corner, I should say.
Right. That
Okay,
is correct.
so it won't invade, it won't get into the setback area because it's not going past the house corner. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm okay with it. Myself, I don't know about Joe Jean and Rich.
That works for me. If it's coming off the back corner of the house there, then there's no setback issues.
Okay, Joe Jean.
Yeah. I'm fine with it also.
Okay,
I move to approve with all those wonderful comments.
Thank you.
I'll second.
okay, that's Rich and Joe Jean, and that is unanimous. Then with comments.
Great.
So-
Thank you.
Okay, Nicole, thank you very much. I'm glad you found that.
Good luck.
Yeah. Me too.
Remember, you're coming up on the end of the digging season too. So
Yeah.
after the end of September, you got to watch how much earth you can move.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Have a great evening.
You too.
Okay, John, I think next is Joel. If I'm not mistaken, then Joel will have his new builds.
Yeah, I think we got Joel with us.
Hey everyone.
Give him a second.
Oh,
He put down his fork.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm done eating.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, how are
Which
you?
item number?
We'll start with, is it 18 or 19?
18
Sweet.
is 31 Bramble.
20 sweet clover.
Oh, it's 19, number 19. You want to do that
19.
one first? Yep. Okay, number 19, 20 Sweet Clover. Let me get it up real quick. That's 31, 20 is next.
Oh, yeah, I know this one.
Keith, were we bringing somebody over for this one?
We had,
I think the homeowner's on.
we did have him here. Is that William?
Dave,
Is,
No, William was the
Yeah, he's observing.
is David.
David.
yeah, David. He was number 3 guy you brought over.
All right, David, I brought you over.
I'm number 17.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, Joel, go ahead, sir.
All right. Let me just move a couple windows around here. All right. So you've had some time to review. Everything looks good in terms of alignment with ACC policies. I mean, we've had some back and forth, just making sure we've got a good presentation. There's only one concern here, and that my concern, and maybe an ACC concern, is the 2 trees that are nearest to the driveway. Let's get to the site plan here. You know, they are somewhat in close proximity, and they are slated to remain. You know, oops, on site. I was there, and it's a, you know, maybe it's a little hard to determine the exact point of where the driveway edges will be, but you know, I was measuring about between 6 and 8 feet. And I'm talking about you know, this 16 hemlock here and this 24 cedar on this side. With a driveway like this, you know, there's not a lot of over digging that needs to happen like a foundation does.
Yeah, what is the depth? It's like 12 inches that you dig down for the driveway? Is it even that, 8 inches?
Yeah, I don't know what the best practice is for driveway depth.
Yeah, because you're gonna have like 4 of your concrete and then a couple inches of,
Mhm.
you know, so yeah, I would think 6 to 8 inches. So yeah, it's not too severe.
Mhm.
Wait, isn't that the big cedar that's there? Isn't that on the other homeowner's property?
According to this survey, it is, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because there's like a little driveway there with like railroad ties holding the
Mhm.
driveway back,
Mhm.
and then there's that big tree. The hemlock, I don't have a problem with the hemlock, but I don't know what.
Mhm.
And the only reason I mentioned the hemlock is because I see what appear to be sewer line markings and a buried propane tank. And I think that's going to affect both of those trees if you're burying a propane tank there.
Mhm. Yeah. So some potential cause for concern, you know, if there is tree damage to the roots.
Yeah.
So David, in Sudden Valley, we don't want to create a hazard tree.
Yeah, don't want to create a hazard tree anywhere. But yeah, especially in Sun Valley. But yeah, so typically, you know, if it's on someone else's property like that, we do, you know, if we think he's going to affect it with his driveway, we typically ask for an arborist report.
Mhm.
They're slightly upslope, so I mean, there could be some potential impact, but I think it would be minimal, and it seems far enough away to me. That's just me. I'm not an
Mhm.
arborist guy, so you know, that's why we usually ask for an arborist to get involved if we think there's going to be an issue with a neighboring tree.
Mhm. Yeah, I would recommend an arborist evaluation.
For the cedar.
You know, at least before making a decision to try to, you know, and then follow whatever the arborist says is best practice.
Yeah, it's not too expensive. You know, I had him out here to look at several trees. It was like 125, you know, and he did like 7 trees for me. So it's fairly reasonable.
I think that well, like I said, I think the cedar, which is on the other homeowner's property, but I think the more immediate concern is the hemlock. And is that a fir by the buried propane tank?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, that cedar is a big cedar. But I think that's pretty far away from where your driveway is going to end up. It's further than I thought it would be from your property line when I went over and walked it. And full disclosure, I live across the street from this. So
Oh yeah.
it was really easy for me to walk across the street and look at everything. So Yeah, I think your bigger concern is where your propane tank's gonna be at, because I would anticipate, because there's a lot of little trees, and I think there were some, I forget what kind of bushes those were. I wanted to say laurel, but that might not be right. But there's a lot of bushes over there, and you're gonna probably run into a lot of root structure issues on that side of your driveway. I would just speculate that those two trees would need to come down more than that cedar tree needs to. I think the cedar probably needs to be limbed up a bit for you. But other than that, I think you're far enough away.
All right, so we're actually going to make that one of our comments then. So we're going to recommend an arborist report for to verify the propane tank location, because that is an issue for us, and also the neighboring cedar tree. Fair? Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Okay, Joel?
Yeah. Everything else looks good. I mean, property coverages, driveway height, they're all pretty comfortable here. The trees is the only, excuse me, the trees is the only, I think, potential issue here. Colors are pre-approved. Doors black, lights will be down, shining only.
What's our retaining wall going to be now in the back? I know they crossed out.
Oh yeah, so there's a retaining wall.
For the side.
Where is it? I think it was to be, David, can you, you mentioned, you put it in there as originally it was going to be he was proposing a vegetated covered retaining wall. I believe was it along the driveway?
It was on the side of the garage on the right side, and it was towards the back of the house, by that door. If you pull up the house plan itself.
Where are they at here?
Yeah, I don't see it on your site plan.
Oh, I see it. It's just right in front of that door on the right-hand side of the house. So it would just be a wall to hold your slope back from the side of from that door, basically.
Yeah, and it was to be like 3 feet tall, or a very small wall.
Joel, can you highlight that on there? I still can't see it. And I got new glasses.
Yeah, I am not seeing it either here.
It's not on the overhead view. It's if you look at the CAD drawings with the 4 views of the house.
The elevations here.
Yeah, right there next to the door on the south side. To the left of it, you see the little tiny block there.
This guy?
Right. Well, no. I think it's just the little tiny part that's right. The small rectangle there, just to the left of the door on the bottom of it.
Yeah,
I
right.
think that's the retaining wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that what you highlighted is foundation, and that'll be covered with hardy plank or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
It's small. Yeah.
That's real small.
Yeah, it's just to hold back the slough there. It's not a super sloped lot, but it'll hold back most of what's going to be in there. I'd recommend poured concrete and then paint it.
Yeah. So I mean, originally,
Maintenance.
yeah. I think and David, if you'd rather do that and ask for a painted wall, you could do that at this time.
Yeah, I'll go with the painted wall. Okay.
So is that would like to
So
how to
the only other questions I have are on the back where the stormwater retention is. What is that? I guess it's technically north side. Yeah, that back corner. So is the proposal to put that between 2 trees? Or are those trees coming out?
That hemlock on the house corner is gonna get removed.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Cause I'm just thinking, I don't know how big, am I seeing that right? 21 foot by 10 inches? So that's a pretty decent pit. And I just wanted to make sure we're not hitting that other, what is that? Is that another hemlock there in the further one out?
Yeah, these are all hemlocks up here.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure we don't
Mhm.
damage, well, the hemlock, I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're moving to Sudden Valley and you got a hemlock that's that big, any shock to its system, it's gonna die. It might not be next year or the year after, but it will die inexplicably. They just die. And then you're stuck with this huge tree that is dead and you have to pay thousands of dollars to remove. So you don't drop it on your house or your neighbor's house. So if that's gonna be, I don't know what the measurement is on my screen, but I think that you might want to consider taking out that other hemlock if that's where your stormwater is gonna be buried.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that since you're gonna be digging a pretty good sized trench to put that in.
And we're talking.
I could be wrong, Keith. What do you think?
Well, I think we're gonna have an arborist on site anyways, right? Checking it out. I don't know why you can't look at that as well,
Yeah.
right? And make his recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice flat area back there. It flattens out in the back part of the lot. It's nice, but that'd be my only other concern with trees is just if you dig and I don't want the homeowner to get stuck with a big tree back there that he has to remove after construction.
Yeah.
If you're already gonna have people dropping trees, it's way easier and cheaper to do it all at once before your house is there. So I'm just trying to help you and make sure that we get it done early instead of having to do it later.
And then recommend, well, the arborist too, we're gonna have a replant schedule. So if you're gonna remove one, replant with 2 or 3, and the county has their remove 1, replace with 3. But I think we'll wait for the arborist report, and then I assume you'll be submitting a tree removal request if in fact these trees do need to come down as additional trees, or the arborist recommends that they come down. You'll come back to us with that.
And what I would say, Keith, I just so I'm clear, we're not holding this up today because of that. We would just,
Correct.
if he gets more trees approved, he would just add those and we would approve those at a later time.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. I don't want to hold up construction this late in the season.
Yep. Nope.
Thank you.
Josine, any comments? Okay, Joel, did we have any other issues on this? So the retaining wall, we're gonna end up, because it's so small, we're gonna agree to just be painted. It's gonna be poured in place and painted. And then arborist report required actually now the neighboring cedar tree and the hemlocks up by the drive and the propane tank and the stormwater in the back. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 trees or so for him to review. Is that correct?
The last thing, there was a question from David about, so currently he's got the stormwater designed to be pumped up the hill and under the road.
Mhm.
There is a piece of Sudden Valley green zone between the 2 properties. So he wanted to know when I go to dig out the trench for the sewer further down, can I dig on the Sudden Valley green zone to pipe the stormwater down instead?
Oh, you mean on the back side of the property, not the side?
I think that's what he's asking. David, can you clarify that?
Yes, towards the back of the property.
Yeah, you want to go out the back?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking the 4-inch overflow from the stormwater. Can you run it to the green space back there?
Yep.
And I would say from my experience that's been allowed plenty of times in Sudden Valley. I don't have a problem with that at all. Because it's only for overflow if it gets overwhelmed, and that's very rare that would happen.
Well, what we have to ask ourselves is anyone else draining onto that lot currently? So we currently had a situation last year we had this extreme flooding stuff, and we had a couple lots, a few houses that are draining into a green space, and it was designed for that, but it was overwhelmed. And so the water, ran right on down into houses.
There are not any that are draining onto the lot behind that one. I know that for sure.
Okay. That's important to know. And then, so currently you have to pump up. Is that your plan, where you're going to pump up to the storm drain?
The plan was to pump it up and under the street over towards the ditch on the other side of the road.
Into the culvert over there. Yeah, under the ditch, yeah.
Well, you've got culverts on your side too, so you don't have to go under the street if you don't need to. Because I think the house to your north, I think that is 18 has like a 90-foot culvert because of their huge driveway.
Okay, I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, that would save you from having to go under the road, that's for sure. But your emergency overflow is what we're talking about, what would go into the lot behind you.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
So here's the Sun Valley, this green belt here, Sun Valley owned, and then this lot on behind to the north is also Sun Valley owned.
Yeah.
And it's my opinion. Anytime we can have stormwater flow downhill rather than use a mechanical pump, is always typically a good choice.
tends to flow easier that way.
Yeah.
Well, especially with the amount of pine needles you'll have in that system in the next few years.
Mhm.
All right, well then the downhill, to do that, then they would need maintenance approval then.
Yeah, I think we need Mike Brock or Tyler Andrews might want to weigh in on that and help you figure that out.
Yeah, and at least mark where it's going to be. That way it's visible so people know.
Okay, so then, so far we're in approval on this with the arborist report, the painting of the retaining wall, and the downhill for your stormwater is acceptable to us pending maintenance, Sun Valley maintenance approval. Would that be correct, guys? Did I miss anything?
And then the only other question I'm seeing is so the property line looks weird. What is Sudden Valley saying about the driveway? Because it looks to me like it's going to be about 40 feet long. Is that about right?
About there.
And the property line basically cuts it in half. So what's going on with the part that I realize you got to connect to the street, of course, but I'm just wondering what Sudden Valley has determined as far as that's concerned.
Are you thinking about stormwater runoff or just the amount of?
Well, just because it's being built in Sudden Valley's right away, isn't it?
Yeah, the driveway itself, like for the radius that isn't there, that should be there, that isn't there. So he's going to be building his driveway to attach to this existing asphalt. All that will be built in Sudden Valley's right away.
Yeah. So it does that I don't have a problem with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just want to make sure that if there's a variance or something that we need to say, hey, this is okay, or we give this the thumbs up. I want to make sure we're doing that.
As far as I'm my best information is, almost all of these new constructions, their driveway does extend in the right of way, to at least to some extent. And in this case, I think there is some language that says, even though you have your driveway, this is the Sudden Valley right of way, and Sudden Valley, could choose if they wanted to pave all the way up there.
Yeah.
And they
Well, I
can,
mean, and part of the reason I asked this is because a few years ago, they switched the underground electrical from that side of the street to the opposite side of the street. So who's to say in, 15 years, they don't decide to go back to the other side of the street and run new cables again and dig through a driveway. So I just want to make sure that we're covering everybody. I don't want the homeowner to be like, what the heck, come out and your driveway's half dug up. Because that is a pretty significant, I didn't know that property line went back that far. Because the house is going to be from the street, you're going to be about 50 feet back from the street. I mean, that's a huge setback, but then I realized the property lines were already 20 feet back. So I just, like I said, if there's something we need to note, then I just want to make sure we do it to cover them.
Well, I think we did. We'll just make that an additional comment as well, and that'll also be part of maintenance. Will approval with maintenance also being aware of the driveway situation.
Sweet. And are you sure you want to go with gray? Or Acer or whatever color that's called.
Acer gray. Okay, anything else on this one?
I have nothing.
Rich, anything else?
I'm good. It all looks good to me.
Other than he wants to help you pick out a color. Okay, can we get a motion on this one?
I move to approve with all the comments that we made.
Second.
That's Rich and Joe Jean, and that is unanimous with comments. And that was for item number 19, 26 water.
Yeah, and one other comment, I just want to make sure we put on there, if you end up getting the approval to remove those other trees, then we want to update the landscape plan to reflect replanting for those.
Well, he's going to come back to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to come back to us. Yep. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Very good, Joel. Thank you, David. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck on your build.
Thank you.
Okay, Joel, what do you got next?
all right. I believe it's the next item, item 20, 31 Bramble Way.
Number 20, 31 Bramble.
And we do have a couple of folks here for that one. Chad Schmidt is the builder for Rubicon. And is Mac Higgins, I believe, is a
Yeah,
neighbor.
I'll bring both Chad and Mac over here.
Right.
Which number are we talking about?
All right, Chad and Mac, I've added you both to the meeting.
Hello.
My item 20 says 2 Jasper Ridge Lane. That's not correct.
Oh, are we on item 18?
Oh, 18.
I'm going backwards down the list here.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, 31 Bramble. Oh, that's up at the end of the road there, isn't it?
Yep. Top of the hill there, into the road. So here we are on our map, the little blue icon there.
That, if I remember right, that drops off a bit there in the back of the lot, doesn't it?
Yep, it is downsloping toward the Austin Creek.
Yep.
All right, so on this one, we're well under height. The driveway slope, is at to be proposed at the maximum. Property coverage, open space are good. Couple items for ACC to review. So retaining wall is proposed to be painted.
Yuck.
So that is going to be for ACC to decide. The tree species were missing from the plan set, but I guess they are all been identified as fir trees. So that's been figured out. This type of light fixture shines upward. We make sure that, so on our spec sheet here, when you buy these lights, they can be installed light bulbs, on the top and the bottom. So we can't have any upward shining light. So those need to be capped at the end. And that'll be something we check on final. There has been, if you did your site visit, did appear to be some ribbon that was removed, corner stakes moved.
Oh, I didn't know if they'd been moved. I saw them, but I didn't realize they'd been moved.
Okay, they may have not been, but I went up there a couple times and there was some appeared to be some stakes missing and some ribbon removed. But anyway, let's talk about. So I guess one of the first things we'll talk about, I guess, is the retaining wall. And are you comfortable with painting a retaining wall? And so this is the wall.
Which side is it on?
It's pulling up here.
I see east front, east back, north right.
Here we go. So the driveway's going to dip. The driveway's going to dip down here, and then they'll have a retaining wall along the left side of the driveway. Here. So it'll be approximately here on our
So how
elevations.
tall does that end up being?
Let's see.
Just a lot of paint.
I think he's got it on there.
On our landscaping plan, we had specified we would be planting shrubs in front of it to shield and highlight and take away some of that painted wall look.
How tall is that retaining wall, Chad? Roughly.
I think it's about 10 feet at the house, and it tapers up as it comes up towards the driveway to retain the driveway.
Yeah. So 10 feet down.
And then putting the arborvitae type bushes that grow, fill up, and have some green in front of it, landscape green.
Aren't those the ones that the deer eat the heck out of?
Those are the pyramidellas,
Mhm.
pyramideras or whatever, the ones that, yeah, there's a arborvitae that is a style that the deer won't eat.
Okay.
We've had to find those, and we planted them a lot more in our lots on Sudden Valley now, so they won't be eaten.
Yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, approximately 10 feet. We've got a 9-foot wall.
Is it going to be poured and tied into the foundation? Is that the plan?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a structural part of the build.
Well, I'm personally not a fan of painted retaining walls. I've seen too many of them where the paint just chips off and fades after a while, but that's just me in my opinion. Especially when they're visible, You get a homeowner to buy it with it just painted and, and it's only the homeowner looking at it, then I kind of take it differently. But when other people have to look at it, I don't, especially a big one, But that one sets down a bit, so, we'll see. We'll see what Rich and Joe Jean have to say about it.
Well, I'm just thinking of, in the beginning, I'm assuming you're not buying adult trees and putting them in there, so it'll take a few years for them to grow up to fill out a space that large.
They'll be minimum 6 foot, about 5 to 6 foot tall.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to be the 2 foot or the 1 foot starters.
And what else will be in as the for slope stabilization there? Other than
It'll
just
be
the
locked in with locked in with jute matting with junipers, kinnick, ferns, the native, all the native growth to turn that back into a native looking hillside part of the landscape.
You just know exactly what to say, don't you?
I like low maintenance. I like low maintenance.
Turning that back into native, exactly like it was.
Yeah.
All
And a
right.
lot of it will be shielded actually from the road or any visual from anybody seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. And I'll tell you why I don't, because it's structural tied into your driveway there. And I don't see that you have a whole lot of option as far as, I mean, there's really nothing else you can do there. And I don't think we need to go insane with the decorative of, I mean, the function of that wall is structural. It's not to look at, it's not to highlight something. Whereas a lot of folks, when we do retaining walls, we're doing it to hold back a slope and create a patio or, you know, shield our deck from the slough. And so I don't see it as that as a decorative area for a retaining wall. It's the only thing I would say is if there's a way that you could, you know, maybe on the top 2 or 3 feet of it, if there could be something, you know, over it, that would be nice. Just for the top portion of it that would be visible from the road. I mean, I realize the trees would eventually cover it, but for the first couple of years while things are growing and fill them out, it would be nice to have a little bit of decorative element there. Something to hang the
Understand.
Christmas lights on, if you will.
Eugene, you have any comments on the retaining wall?
No, are they gonna still paint it this gray color and then plant stuff?
That's my understanding. Is that correct, Chad? It'll be painted and then you plant screening in front of it, 5 to 6 foot tall minimum height plants?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
not-
estimating between 5 and 6 trees, bushes needed, but it could be more.
Okay. Okay, Joel, so that's got a approval, the retaining wall with those comments.
Okay, paint is okay.
Paint is fine, the gray is fine with the 5 to 6 foot high plants in front of it screening.
Mhm.
Numerous of
Sure,
them.
you want gray? Are you positive with the gray?
If you see the color tone of a finished house I have that I did this, you're gonna fall in love with this look.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, looks like a nice house.
Joel, can we look at the site plan and that driveway one more time again? And so 25%.
Yeah, we're
A
steep.
lot of
That's
that is coming down off the road to the property line and then level from the property line back to the house.
So you got a good transition. I see you got a 4-inch drain. You got a little like, yeah, how you doing it? No one's gonna get high centered. You're gonna get, how are you gonna do this? You're gonna hit your bumpers. Won't get high
No,
centered, you'll hit your bumper of your car.
That's not that bad.
Okay, I'm not taking the Audi down there.
you won't bring the Ferrari down,
No, Ferrari stand.
but Audi does make an SUV now.
Are you building this for yourself or for someone else?
We're hoping to find a very lovely family or someone or people that would love it and live in the valley and be with you guys.
I'll just throw it out there since it's a good slope. If there's any way you could throw something in that concrete on the sloped portion of it that keeps it a little bit warmer so it doesn't freeze and get snow on it, I'm sure a future homeowner would pay extra for that.
Oh yeah, we understand. It'll have definitely a heavy break finish to it for grabbing.
Yeah.
A heated driveway.
Yeah, there's one in gate 5. It looks like a ski slope though. It's like 80 feet long and everyone knows it. It's right by Windward and Lummi or Louise View Drive.
Our concrete crew is the one that put that in for him with all that radiant heat.
Oh yeah, it's quite the deal. It's if something goes wrong and it's not on, I've seen him out there trying to clear some of the snow off.
It scares me. I would have thought he'd end up down at the bottom of the hill in one of those houses by now.
Yeah, no, they've done well.
Okay, any other comments on this?
That looks good.
Excuse me.
I like it.
There is a, yeah. So let's see.
Joel.
Yeah, it's me here. There was one additional tree which is being proposed to be removed, which wasn't originally. I think I marked it on the packet. Is this one in the northern corner of the home? Due to the proximity of the foundation, that one will be proposed to be removed as well. We do have another participant here, Mac. I think is a neighbor who would like to comment on this.
Excellent. Bring him on over.
Yep. I am here. Thanks for having me.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, so we're talking about 31 Bramble. You have a comment?
Yeah. If you have a couple minutes to hear me out. So I'm an adjacent resident. I make my home at 36 Bramble Way. And I additionally own lot 116, which abuts the area known as Tract 2, which is that green belt rectangular shape that runs between lot 116 and 160. So it kind of divides those two divisions. And I've got four things to talk about. And I'm just going to go in order of sort of what's most significant, I think, just in my mind and in my family's mind.
Okay.
And the first is that there seems to be quite a bit of discrepancy between what is shown in maps versus what actually exists on the road. So there's on every map, there is clearly a cul-de-sac defined on our maps. And there is no cul-de-sac on this road. It's just a straight road that terminates in that P7 keyway that leads towards the back. So there is a little bit of strangeness when it comes to delineating where property lines actually end and where street front actually exists. And related to that, when my husband and I purchased our home, the prior owner of lot 60, who was also the developer, attempted to claim easement through that area of Greenbelt that's designated as Tract 2. Tract 2 on surveys is supposed to have 30 feet of street front on Bramble Way's cul-de-sac. And it seems that, you know, the front of lot 60 is also supposed to have street front access to Bramble Way by the maps. But again, those are taking into consideration a cul-de-sac that doesn't exist there. When we were closing on our property in 2019, when we had this interaction with the prior owner of lot 60, Sudden Valley decided to solve the confusion of who had access to what, to grant us a license to a permanent encroachment area that extends from the front of the consolidated lots 115 and 114 along that front edge of Tract 2 into the cul-de-sac. And that is marked, the top of that encroachment area that is designated as our easement to our property extends all the way to the center marker point of the cul-de-sac, which is there's a metal marker in the center. Why this is relevant is because that area is tied in with our deed and it is not modifiable. unless we have agreements on both parties. So that would be Sudden Valley and my husband and I. When you step out and actually view where there is spray paint delineating where this driveway enters from where a cul-de-sac theoretically would be, it's about 5 feet into that, like it's about 5 feet away from my driveway, which is well within that encroachment area that has already been designated as a space for my husband and I to use. It's not a public easement. It hasn't been designated as a public easement. And it's my feeling that this decision should have been documented on the, or tied into the deed of lot 60, so that this information could have been shared with a future owner, which clearly it wasn't. So it seems the decision was already made that that area of 30 feet of width of tract 2 should have been preserved to align with the legal document I have that's tied into my deed. So I do have, I don't know if there's a way for me to share my screen. If not, it's not a problem, but the encroachment area is drawn onto a verge, like a copy of the survey of lots 115 and 114. And it pretty clearly indicates where that extends to.
Dawn, can she share her screen with us?
I believe let's see here. Let me see what we can do.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I guess, let me think what I can tie in as well. It clearly specifies in this license that Sudden Valley has no plans to ever develop a cul-de-sac here. I've been told by the prior general manager himself that the expense outweighs the benefit. We've already got a pretty long-standing road here. And if you obscure that 30-foot section of width that's supposed to separate these tracts of land, you're essentially adding property onto the corner of lot 60 that doesn't exist. It hasn't been delineated, and there's no license that goes with lot 60 that states that this piece of land can be used, because it theoretically is part of that greenbelt area, which is abutting my encroachment area.
Chad, do you have some comment on this?
Well, as far as I know, that is Sudden Valley land, but Sudden Valley cannot give up land without a ownership, because it's all owned by everybody in that district, District 1, District 2, Division 1.
Yeah, right.
But you can also, you can't take away someone else's access to their property too. I'm not sure where this all this is kind of coming from on this, because there's nothing in recording. There's nothing on the Whatcom County website, since these are not public roads. Well, they're not Whatcom County roads. They're Sudden Valley maintained roads with access by the county. They're all privately owned by each division. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
So in all aspects, they would have to, in order to give that up, or Sudden Valley to legally have given that up, they would have had to compensate every owner in that division of somewhat of value, because there's a value monetary to that. But by putting an easement in there and access all the way to the road, doesn't that not take away access and landlock a lot?
So I would disagree. And then obviously if I'm able to share my screen, I can show you this document, because this document is notarized. It is a publicly accessible document. If you were to search my deed information through Whatcom County records, this is completely available for anyone to view.
What's your address, Mac?
36 Bramble Way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I can bring you in a style if you'd like to share your screen. I can bring you in so I'll have to do this a little different way. It may turn your camera on as well.
Okay, no problem. You'll have to excuse, I have 2 young children, so if we have any visitors, I'll introduce them.
No problem. So
okay.
There we go. So you should be able to share your screen now.
Hey, Joel, are you familiar with this situation?
No, this is new. I did have a conversation with, I believe, Stephen, and with some concerns about the slope stability back there on 31 Bramble. But I don't think this was brought to my attention.
Yeah, this is a significant, could be significant hiccup.
I'm not sure.
I'm looking stuff up on the assessor's site. I'm just trying to look for the documents here.
Okay, wonderful. I'm trying to get some privacy settings adjusted here just so I can get my screen shared. And let me think. Let's see what I can do here. If I can clarify, if you might beat me to it in getting these pulled up, but this license does not denote ownership. It specifically excludes ownership. And it's really more of a mutual agreement to allow the continued use of this space because our home existed prior to the inception of Sudden Valley. So the road up here and its access was created before these lots were divided and subdivided and parsed out. It's specifically, it makes very clear in the language that this is the only use of this space. It can't be repurposed for anything else. It has to be maintained and it can't be modified in addition to the area that it abuts, which is that tract 2. And then of course, it's kind of supplementary to that, my concern is, if you look at the maps, clearly, if you're going to follow the map, you see that tract 2 should have 30 feet of street front access, which again, aligns with protecting that encroachment area. Let me see. I'm still having a little bit of trouble getting this set up. So I apologize. Let me see. I might just move everything into my Google Drive quickly and access it that way.
If that does not work, you might be able to email that to Joel and Joel can pull it up.
Yeah, I may go that route. Let me, gosh. I apologize. This too is my first experience joining one of these meetings. I guess I'll go ahead and continue talking on just the other concerns. So essentially, it's my position that since this was already decided in 2019, since this encroachment area was established and was created to kind of solve this problem, the recommendation or the result of this was the opinion that because there is an additional almost 85 feet of street front access that can be accessed from that key road or that keyway P7, that if there was a decision to move forward with development, that development could come, access from that way. So there is no, there's no situation where this plot is landlocked. You can still access 60 from P7. And, that would avoid this issue of, the encroachment area that we have. The next point would just be related to the tree removal. I did have an ISA arborist, Pat Sullivan, come out last week and do an assessment of my property and our neighboring properties at 35 Bramble Way across the street. I'm sorry, 25 Bramble Way across the street and 34 next to me.
Joel, can you put the map back up, the site map, while we're waiting?
Yeah, sure.
That way we can see what she's talking about as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries at all. Like I said, I'm trying to multitask a little bit here, and I apologize for the delay because I wanted to try to be a bit more prepared.
So here it is. So here's a survey that was submitted to us.
Yeah.
This was done in 2019. Of course, these are just the survey. So if there's easements in here, they may not catch everything. And then the map. And so I'm looking at the Whatcom County ArcGIS, their parcel viewer. But I give you some perspective here. So this is Max double lot here, and then they're also owners of lot 116. Up here, lot 60, this is 31 Bramble Way, what's being proposed to be built on. Here is tract 2, this she's referring to. This is Sudden Valley owned lot. And yeah, just note that these white roads on here are not really a good reference for where things actually may exist.
Okay,
But
so
go
it's,
ahead, you continue, Matt.
yeah,
I have a question.
yeah, of course.
Is lot 116 have a house on it? Or
No,
it's
no, it's an undeveloped lot.
Okay, and you combine 2 lots for your place, right?
Correct. So when we purchased the home, the lots 115 and 114 had already been consolidated. We purchased 115 in 2020, just because we wanted to go ahead and add a 3rd lot to our existing 2, and we haven't gone through the consolidation process yet.
Interesting.
Okay, so
116 currently could still be developed.
Could be, but they own it, so it'll be their decision.
correct. So I do have the option now to share my screen. It just won't let me while someone else is sharing. So let me see if I can go ahead and do that. Share.
The administrator might have to click allow.
Yeah, hang on. I can fix that, I think. Okay, go ahead and give it a try now.
Okay, give me one moment.
I gotta watch how much time we're spending on this, sorry.
Well, while we're doing that, so I'm trying to understand. I see the tract that is Sudden Valleys. I guess what I don't understand is the whole guaranteed certain amount of street space and why anybody would want to have an easement into Sudden Valleys Road, because there's utilities, there's culverts, there's road striping, there's road repairs. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to understand here, is why they would say you get a easement into the roadway.
So the language in the license states that the owner utilizes a portion of the undeveloped SVCA property adjacent to the property as a driveway for access to and parking for the property, which is described as the encroachment area.
So that's the tract 20 that you're talking about?
It is a portion of the cul-de-sac that has not been developed.
Yeah, I've got a very similar thing. I have a cul-de-sac that doesn't exist in front of my house.
Yeah. So it covers a portion of a corner of the area that is completely undeveloped, which is green space that sits in front or is part of tract 2, if we're going to consider tract 2 having that actual street front access. And it is also an extension of what is existing gravel driveway that connects my home with the street.
Yeah, because I've got some pictures of your house from the assessor's site I'm looking at. The one with it's got the RV trailer. Is that your house? Was your house gray at one time, or is it gray now?
It's gray now. I believe it was brown.
Yeah, it was brown.
It was brown. It's now gray. And if you look at where the markings have been laid, where that pink spray paint has been placed on the roadway to indicate the driveway entrance, it clearly is not 30 feet from the edge of my property line or from the encroachment area, which extends another, 40 feet wide. I'm gonna have my husband see if he can figure out this sheet, the share screen option, because I really want to be able to show you these documents. So give me just one moment. I'm gonna mute really fast.
Well, guys, the way I see this thing going is that we're gonna end up deferring this thing. If I can try to get my screen, there you are. I don't see any other way around it. This just sounds like it's gonna become a legal issue between two property owners, and we gotta find out who signed this agreement.
Well, I guess I'm trying to understand exactly where.
That I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was Joe Akla. It's written into our title that was Joe Akla.
This is
Sorry.
So I'm looking at the item I'm looking at is 18.4. And I'm looking at lot 60. And I'm looking at where her lot is, and there's the track 2 in between them. I don't understand where the driveway coming off lot 60 is infringing on lot 116 or 115 or 114. It's basically almost on the opposite side of what should be a cul-de-sac. I realize it's not there. I've been up there. I go
Yes.
dead end.
So the issue with that is if you stand in the middle of the road, if you were to follow those plans, lot 60 would be in the middle of P7. If you disregard the width of tract 2. I'm so sorry, I have a little one on my lap. If you look at the photo, like if you have any photos of the proposed development right now, if you're following those maps, there should be a space 30 feet wide between the end of 115 and the start of 60. And that space is not there. There's about 5 between where that driveway is marked and where it should be.
So that would have mean that the Sudden Valley would have had to have a whole new recording with the county and everything about moving property line corners and everything. And that would be going in because our properties are all defined by where they're at with the property lines. So I'm not sure where a 30-foot would be coming out continually out, because that would mean Sudden Valley is now increasing ownership of, or not ownership, but extension of a parcel or tract, which is separate from the road easements and the road accesses by the maintenance of Sudden Valley. Am I not understanding? I'm just trying to understand how that would be, and who approved that with Sudden Valley, and did they have all of Sudden Valley approval to do that, and all of the owners?
Yeah, well, you're kind of
permission?
that's a different battle. So here we have a
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how that came, and then how that works for us to still have access to the property.
So you should still have access to the property from P7. There's 85 feet of accessible area.
That's a side. That's not the front of the property though. That is the side, and you can't have a 20-foot setback off of the side. We have certain setbacks off of front properties. What are designated as the front of the property.
Yes, but I think that's a matter of perspective. And if there isn't room to place a property 20 feet back from the appropriate entry point from P7, then it would occur to me that it's not a viable build.
So is your proposal that the driveway run down the side of the property and then turn into the house?
I'm
A completely different area?
I'm not an engineer. I'm not a builder by profession. But there is a large, like I said, I believe it's 84 and change feet access point from P7, which is direct access to an existing gravel road. The details of how that would be made to work would be up to the people who are employed in those professions. But I do know that the prior developer who owned this piece of property decided to sell it because it seemed like too big of a task to take on. But again, that's just my experience.
Well, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I guess as long as he's not building the driveway on tract 2, I guess I don't see the problem with the driveway coming out onto the roadway where it
Joel,
should
can you bring back up the site plan, please? So while we're
Yeah.
talking about that, we can see the driveway and the track and all. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to withhold.
Doing a little investigating yourself, are you?
Yeah, we need some more information really until.
Well, and I'm on the
Make a
tax
better
assessor's
decision.
website. I don't see any additional documentation on changing of encroachments or easements or any of that. I don't see any additional documentation on Whatcom County's site. So that leads me to believe that it was never filed with the county. It may have been filed with Sudden Valley.
It absolutely was. I can give you the, there's a barcode on the top right-hand corner of the document that shows it was filed in Whatcom County by Whatcom Land Title.
You have that recording number?
Yes, so it's going to be, I believe it's this number that follows the year. So it's 2019 040 2534.
040
25
35.
2534.
Oh, so I see a deed number online that's 2535 on 3/27 of 2019, and it just says it's a statutory warranty deed from
Yeah,
Adam Zender.
that's a different
The
document.
grantor of the deed, yeah.
Correct.
But I mean, I can't view that document online. It's just that it exists.
May I try to share my screen one more time? I think Joel has to set his.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That the online digital research room too does disclaim that it is the online is for convenience and there may be errors and omissions.
Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so
I
I'm.
see your.
Got a couple of kids eating ice cream.
Yep, those are my So this is a photo I took today. So you can see this is my property, my two vehicles parked in the driveway. And
I'm still only seeing the picture.
Yeah, just the kids eating ice cream.
Oh, okay. Let me see. So I guess it's just showing my desktop. Let me see if we can do more than that. Gosh. Let's see. Gosh.
John, we didn't have any other attendees, did we?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize for.
No, that's okay.
On this up. Yep. Well, those are my kids. They're really cute. And let's see.
You just have the one monitor, right?
I do. Yes. I'm just on a laptop. You know what? Would it be?
You could potentially email that to acc@suddenvalley.com and it would come to everybody's email.
Okay. Let me throw this stuff into and there, I think it's probably, it might be too big to throw in an email, but let me see if I can do that.
You'll probably want to close your screen share before you start doing that.
Yeah, let's stop share. Okay, okay, what was that email address one more time?
Just acc@suddenvalley.com.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and send a folder. Let's see that. Let's do this.
Joel, so where is this driveway coming down into track 2 at?
So here's what's being proposed.
We're just a smidgen.
I don't, on the site plan, it doesn't appear to be going into track 2.
It doesn't to me either. That's why I
Yeah.
don't know, am I looking at something different or wrong?
And I don't know why we would want it to go into P7 either. There's another tract on the other side that's maybe a little bit bigger than track 2. But it's virtually the same situation. It's Sudden Valley land.
Yeah. So the survey and the site plan are oriented a little bit differently, but it appears that the driveway.
If you go back to the survey, you'll see the trees that are on the upper part of my corner of the lot that are in the Sudden Valley cul-de-sac section.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to draw the driveway on your site plan area on the survey.
Yeah. Because the survey is underlaid, the site plan is overlaid onto the survey, so that's how the tree locations and everything were in property corners are placed. Because we're only proposing a 20-foot driveway coming out and then turning and curving and immediately going to the asphalt, tying into the asphalt.
Yeah, so you're gonna approximately. Oh, whoop.
Okay, so looks like the message just sent. So there should be a folder popping through to that ACC email address. And there's quite a few documents in there, but the license that I'm referring to is a PDF in there that's labeled LIC, which are the first 3 letters of it. And then it's got like the recording information is the rest of the title. So we could pull that up. And then the other, I think, relevant 2 things to look at would be a plat map of 31 Bramble, which shows a 30-foot width of tract 2. So I think what I'm trying to describe here is that what is actually there versus what is on the map, they do not, the twain doesn't meet between the 2. I have a photo that I took this afternoon, which shows the markings that are on the pavement right now that show the driveway where it's planned on being placed. And it doesn't accommodate whatsoever for this 30-foot area of street front that tract 2 should have into Bramble Way, which abuts this encroachment area.
So are we sure that the markings that you observed are driveway markings, or could they be other utility markings or just survey markings?
So
There was a rough placement looking at the trees of a rough placement of where we thought maybe where the driveway would go, but wouldn't the actual driveway will be placed based upon after clearing and actual measurement, being able to pull measurements off of the property corners and to outline, which Joel would then be the inspector, improving that they match up with what we have.
Yes. So my issue,
the paint can be off by 2 to 5 feet one way or the other. It's not measured out. It was just a ballpark idea of where we think it might be going in at.
Okay.
Yeah, understood. I think the issue is that I did request copies of the plan so that I could have a better idea of the precision, and I have not received those. So I wasn't really able to understand that distinction. There's also quite a measure of difference between 2 to 3 feet and 30 feet.
Yeah. All right, Chad, are you, you sound like you're somewhat familiar with this possible situation that existed out there. Just based on the comment.
I'm only aware that not of the 30-foot thing or something about the driveway access. I was made aware that when my tree faller came out to assess the cost of pulling down the trees, he witnessed her husband pulling down tree ribbons on the properties and in the front of the property and everything. And he told him he probably shouldn't do that because they're up for a reason. And that we're in for, that he probably shouldn't be removing those.
Yeah. Didn't know what they were marked.
And
Yeah.
they're marked because we have them on our plans. You know, we were not, nobody's made aware, nothing found in anything showing a 30-foot extension of track 2 and blocking out access to or anything on there. There's nothing we found or seen or anything. This is new to us.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that the general manager, if it's the general manager that I'm thinking of, I believe he was fired for several unethical reasons and removed, but maybe
So
there was
I
a
don't
reason.
think Joe Ackla's employment has anything to do with the right and wrong way to separate property and to appreciate
No,
that there's more to this situation. So I think that's fairly irrelevant, and I'd appreciate not being spoken over. I'm trying to provide the documents. I've sent them. I'm not sure if they've appeared on the other side, but there are clear maps. In fact, the map that was posted on the real estate listing for 31 Bramble Way clearly shows the size of track 2, and track 2 has 30 feet of street front access to the street, Bramble Way, and it extends 145 feet back to the green belt that is situated as you go into Austin Creek. There's nothing surprising. This
If you look at the site plan, it doesn't, not the site plan, but the survey shows the 30-foot track. Yeah.
Except that is if there was a cul-de-sac, and there isn't a cul-de-sac, and the corner of lot 60 does not continue. I guess, how can I put this? You can't have the cul-de-sac both exist to your advantage and not exist to your advantage. If your property line extends into the corner down into Bramble Way, then so does the tract. You have to apply the same logic to both pieces of property. And if that tract 2 has to follow the same principle that we are applying to lot 60, then tract 2 also extends to where it has 30 feet of width of street front to Bramble Way.
So can you see the screen now, Mac? Can you see what we have up there?
Yes, I can.
That's where the proposed driveway is off the front of his property. And you can clearly see tract 2 just below it.
Not affected at all.
And so I mean, that's the plans that we're being presented, is that's where the driveway is going to end up. And if that were to somehow change, then the homeowner building it would be fined and have to make amends for doing that. And so, I mean, as a committee, when we look at it, we're going based on the plans, and then we have our expert construction consultant here, Joel, that goes out and makes sure this is all built where we say we're going to build it.
So I understand where these markings have been placed on the plan, but that is not where the land is oriented.
And I understand that, but what I'm telling you is, and he's already said that they put rough estimates up. So the question here is, when we look at this plan and we're faced with approving the construction, we're approving it based on, he's going to put this on his property leading onto Bramble Way as shown on the plan that's on the screen right now. If that doesn't happen, then we have a different avenue to address that. And that's handled by staff and with fines and enforcement and all that good stuff. And that's where the GM would come in.
And Chad, let me ask you, you can see that screen we have up there. Do you see something different than what is actually shown up there? That you're actually going to do different than what is shown?
That's what we're proposing, is coming off, turning, and immediately trying to line back up with the asphalt and staying out of the way. Because if that track 2 is 30 foot and it continues forward, it actually goes out in front of her property and not in front of ours. So if you take our lower property line in that 30 foot following that, it goes towards the words of Bramble. So we're still out of the way of an access. We're trying to, we can modify the driveway a little more as long as we stay 20 foot and do the flare and keep it. I don't see how we're in that 30 foot setback where her license, she says she has that license for that. I don't see how we're infringing on that.
I can't see it on here, and then I don't know, Rich can't see it either. I can't see it. Joel can't see it, but someone can see it. And so that's important. And I do know, like, recorded maps, I've even seen a couple instances here where a recorded map in the county is a far cry from actually what's out here. So I can see us continuing. Sorry. Go ahead.
Maybe we need to show, continue that my property line that abuts track 2 and just pull it out straight to Bramble and then just make sure everything is staying up and out of that. Cause I think that's what you're talking about, Mac, is you have 30 feet forward from that track right away, right?
Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Right to her driveway.
If that's true, then and as long as we stay up and access turn and go through, because go through where I'm proposing it, we should be able to stay out of her granted
Easement.
section in front of track 2.
It's not an easement.
As long as we're doing
It's
that.
a license. It's a granted license. It is not an easement. It's really important to make that distinction because it is not supposed to be publicly accessible. It's a private driveway.
Can you explain what a license is? Because I'm not familiar with that, so I'm just curious what that means. Because
It's
Well,
surprising to hear that anything owned by Sudden Valley, I'm surprised to hear has been made private. Since everything we own is publicly available at this point.
So the title of this document is that it is a license, and the grounds upon which it was granted was due to I don't like the term, but the grandfathering, if you will, of this property. The home that I live in on 115 and 116 was built prior to any of the other homes in this area. And all of these pieces of land were at one point a singular piece of land that was then subdivided and sold off at various points between, the 1980s and present day. So this is, it's a weird and strange issue. Like I said, that came up when we were trying to close on our house, because like I said, the prior owner of that lot 60 was trying to build a driveway that would cut, into this non-existent cul-de-sac and come, within this encroachment area that is actually a driveway, which is our easement to our property, which is legally required. I was advised by the title company that in situations like this, where there is discrepancy, it would be appropriate for there to be additional surveys or map making done of this area to clarify exactly where these lines are. Because if you look at, if you were to Google 31 Bramble Way on Redfin right now, or Trulia, or one of those real estate websites, one of the property images is a plat map that shows track 2, and it shows the width of track 2, and it shows track 2 up against the edge of the cul-de-sac. And if you are to step out into my cul-de-sac right now, or not my non-existent cul-de-sac, if you were to step out in front of the driveway of my home right now, there is no indication of track 2 meeting the road at all. It is being cut off by this down, the lower right-hand side corner of where we're, planning on putting this driveway, which it is not flared up towards the opposite side of the road. The paint markings are pointing down towards my driveway, which I suspect relates to the access to the culvert, which the gentleman representing Rubicon very clearly and perhaps a little bit forcefully told my husband that he would be accessing and digging into with or without our permission. So the concern of that sort of—
That's because culverts are on easements. Culverts are always on easements.
I understand that, but having someone who may be your neighbor for the next 2 years threatening to tear up your driveway and using that specific language is fairly unprofessional and fairly inappropriate.
Well, he doesn't represent Sudden Valley or the committee. That's I want to make that clear. We don't represent the construction folks. However,
I understand that, but you continue to ask him questions and I continue to be shut down, and I can't help but think that it's because I don't work in this capacity, or because I'm the one that has, I don't know, the complaint, but the burden of proof and the burden of why this should be established should be on the person erecting the structure, not the existing homeowners who stand to, lose access, have their properties damaged. I haven't really even been able to speak to the arborist report that I received, but there's some major concerns with removing legacy trees in an area of established forest. I have a huge number of trees that are in excess of 75 years old that surround my property and add to its value and natural beauty. And if we were to presumably remove the trees that have been marked for removal, we're looking at adding damage to these trees by exposing them to westerly winds that are going to come through the valley that comes off of Lookout Mountain. We're looking at bleaching of the trees and the weakening of trees, which is going to, eventually, cause these trees to come down or to die.
Yeah. I just want to make a quick point to say something here. A lot of people think that trees are ribbon just to be removed, and I'm not saying that that weren't that way, but on my property, like I marked 20 trees for the arborist to come to look at all 20 trees. I had no intention of removing all 20 trees. I just was concerned with them. Just so you know that, because a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, you're tearing down all your trees." No. That's what I wanted the guy to look at.
I'm familiar with that. This isn't my first rodeo, but I appreciate you sharing that. I think where my concern became more acute was that, again, in line with the comment about tearing up my driveway, a tree removal person appeared and said that he was going to be removing trees, very soon. And I was concerned because there weren't permits in place for that removal to occur. And again, it's just kind of an aggressive, bullyish tactic. And again, doesn't resonate very well in terms of, working alongside and trying to find ways to make things comfortable for everyone. I think the last issue or last concern, which it's not necessarily the least important, but there's a large concern with regard to my rights to lateral and subadjacent support on my property because of the way that we're positioned and the way we are slipping. In fact, there is a keyway that runs behind my property, which is K4, that has largely completely eroded away off the side of the cliff. The maps show that there is a keyway there. I would challenge anyone to actually walk it because there is no longer much remaining soil there. So my request, in addition to surveillance and mapping and extensive, collection of information regarding the property lines, would be for there to be some significant attention placed on the hazards of landslides. We're in a landslide critical area. I think the issue of flooding was mentioned earlier in this meeting with regard to another property. And every time it floods, we see more and more erosion. Excavating within this close proximity will undoubtedly cause changes in our structure, for which there are significant, financial recompenses that would have to, come through. And I don't want to go there. That's not a desirable thing. I would rather we address it at the front end. I don't want people to get fined. I don't want permits to be revoked. I would rather they get constructed correctly to begin with. An ambulance at the bottom of the hill doesn't really serve much purpose.
So has the county already approved the removal of the trees?
Yes, we have a permit ready to be issued based upon this approval of this. If this was approved, then we would be paying for the building permits immediately and have building permits issued.
So I did speak to the county today, and they indicated to me that no permits have been issued for this property from the county.
That's because he hasn't paid for
Exactly. They are ready to be issued, and I have the dollar amount to pay. And as soon as I pay the dollar amount, permits are issued.
Yeah,
we have a letter
I understand
stating that they're ready to be issued.
Yeah, I understand that you have the financial backing to pay for the permits. It's unrelated to the issue.
So would you feel better if we made a note in this construction approval? I'm just going to go back to the driveway, that the driveway not impede on your driveway. I guess I'm trying to figure out what comment we can put in there to put you at ease, because the plans are showing us that he's not going to cut into that area. The surveys obviously don't show that you have title to that area. So that, if the land trust recommended that you get surveys, I would go with whatever their recommendation was for that. But it looks to me like he's not going to impede for the driveway. Can we put something in there in our comments that's going to that's going to make you feel better about the driveway placement? Let's just focus on that for now.
So I think sorry, I'm a bit juggling kids in the evening and everything. At this stage, I don't think there's much that can really put anything at ease, because I don't feel like any forward momentum should be happening while there is so much that still needs to be like looked at and determined. And the recommendation from the title company wasn't for me to have surveys done. It's legally obligated. That's a WAC law. So that's not something.
The WAC is not law. RCW is law. The WAC is the Washington Administrative Code. It's the guidelines for how to administer those laws.
I'm familiar with that. And I don't have the number of that RCW, but I was informed by the agent that I communicated with at Wacom Land Title that there is a legal obligation of Sudden Valley to pay for those things to be done when there is a contested property issue such as this.
So, okay, so if we're, well, as far as all that though, what I'm saying is, based on the plans he's submitting, we don't see that he's infringing, even if everything you're giving us is that this section of property is reserved for you as a private area. The plans he's submitting to us for approval do not show him impeding on that area. And so that's what I want to get at, is that what he's showing us is he's not going to be doing that. And then as far as the trees, our hands are basically right there, because we are in a watershed. So we do take that very seriously, and we examine that along with Whatcom County and the experts that they employ that come out and review the site and whether or not he can remove those trees. And if they have already reviewed that site and are planning on issuing a permit to remove those trees, we will not stand in the way of that. And then the third portion of this is the delay of things. We are into the end of August, early September, or almost into September. And at the end of September, there's no more digging that can happen. So now we're talking about delaying a person that does this for a living in constructing homes and stopping their business from being able to proceed forward. And the committee, historically, we do not do that. We don't make decisions that are going to stop construction unless there is a violation of Sudden Valley's policies or lack of permitting. You know, there are specific reasons why we can delay a project. In a dispute, when he's showing us plans that don't show that he's going to violate that he's going to cross that property line, we have to go based on the plans that are being submitted.
And I understand that. I'm wondering if Joel received that email that I sent with the package of documents, because that has not been viewed. This license was drafted by, Chemlick, Sitkin, and Davis, the attorneys for Sudden Valley. It is signed and notarized by the then general manager of Sudden Valley. I'm not sure why this document can't be found right now. I do find it a little bit abrasive that the interests of a business owner who has the free choice to buy a piece of land wherever they want is placed over the interests, comfort, and existing investment that I have as a homeowner in Sudden Valley.
But again, the problem is I think you're failing to see is that we cannot see where this driveway or any part of this construction is infringing on anything that you've said. So I can't see that on any of the site plans I've looked at, and I've been through a few, and so that's a problem. So I know you're saying, and you're seeing it by standing there looking at the site, on so where you think it's going to go, it is going to infringe. But every document that we're looking at is saying it is not going to infringe.
And I'm asking for you to please show my documents that I have emailed and.
I don't have the documents. Can you send them directly to me at joel.carter@suddenvalley.com, and I can
Yes, I can also put them into a Dropbox file maybe, and you can open them just with a URL if that would be easier.
Yeah, I
That
didn't
might
get
work.
them. I looked, I didn't get anything on that she sent me. So I don't know if it went to spam or something.
Okay, I just got the indication that it's sent. There should be an AirDrop file. It's a folder called 5 Pine Drop Place. It's full of documents. I just sent it again. I just sent it to Joel
Oh.
directly.
Okay, I see it now. It just popped up here.
Mac, may I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm just trying to understand how that 30-foot swath. So if you take track 2 and you keep that and you keep it running out straight to the street is what your documentation is showing and what that is.
It's an assumption based on how it should run if there was no cul-de-sac there, which there isn't. So if you,
Because what I'm thinking is sorry. Because what I was proposing and thinking is the property line that I'm butting track 2, continue that out and then reline and then showing you that where the driveway is actually going to be actually placed by not being in that. Would that make you happy? Because like I was trying to say, when I put the rough paint down, I'm just kind of gauging, oh, it's about this, looking here where those trees are, gauged off what I drew, what we put on the site plan. As I look closer, it looks like I actually am moving further up into our property, but I was just trying to get an idea, visual, trees, how's this house laying, basically getting it prepared for the association to see what trees that are proposed to be removed, where property line, the stakes are, because we had a string of property line, put stakes up to show them where the house is going to be laid based on that. And we are way more easier to be accurate once I actually do get the process, because I understand your concern on that. And I appreciate you being very adamant about, about wanting to protect that. And we're willing to want to help you protect that. I just did not know about it. I was not aware of it. We can make it work. And as long as what I'm proposing looks like it will make it work. Does that make sense? I understand you're trying to be up that way. You were concerned with the paints, and that's just a ballpark for us to get an idea of where we're going to start at.
I cannot begrudge anybody the opportunity to develop their land. I mean, that's everyone's individual choice, of course. I'm very concerned that we're kind of missing some pieces here because of the way that this has been mapped and the way it has been recorded. There's no consistency between maps. There's no consistency between these things that are all supposed to exist. I guess.
Well, our survey is matching the recorded plat of Sudden Valley, of everything that's recorded with Sudden Valley, and showing the property corners and showing where track 2 is, where your property corners are, so
Joel,
with us staying and turning out, yeah.
Joel, there should be a PDF in there that starts with the capital letters LIC, and then it goes 2019. This is the license that I refer to. And if you can scroll through the language if there's anything that you want to look at. But if you go to the very last page, there is a rendering of the property that shows the encroachment area as it relates to the cul-de-sac.
That's what I need to see as a map.
Yes, it's the very last page of this document.
Who's Adam Zender?
Adam Zender was the property owner who we purchased this property from. So this license transferred to us in the purchase of the home.
Says it's a revocable license.
That is correct. And later on in this license, one of the clauses states that the only way in which it can be modified is in writing with the agreements of the initial agreeing parties. So it requires agreeance on my end and agreeance on Sudden Valley's end for it to be revoked.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying I thought that earlier you had said that it was an irrevocable thing, which is like the covenant to bind, but
No, I never used the term irrevocable. I indicated that it is ongoing.
Okay, so there's encroachment area generally depicted on Exhibit A here too. It's requested SVCA permission to continue to utilize the encroachment area in its currently existing form for Zinder's gravel driveway and parking purposes. That's
Sure.
no interest in real property. I've seen a document similar to this before. It seems pretty close.
This license shall not be deemed to transfer any interest in the underlying SVCA property to Zinder. Rather, it grants a permission to Zinder to use the SVCA property under the terms and conditions and for the purposes set forth herein. Zinder specifically disclaims any ownership. Let's see.
Well, again, even reviewing all this, all I can say is it doesn't appear that he's encroaching into this area at all.
So here is Exhibit A. So there's the gravel driveway. Does that appear to be consistent with
So yes,
the survey here?
so it does appear to be consistent, and it is attached on that left side to tract 2, which should have 30 feet of street front from the edge of my encroachment area over to lot 60. It is green space to the left of this driveway. It is undeveloped,
Right.
and that is part of tract 2.
Yeah, 2. Yes, I see
And,
that.
and if you look at the top corner, right where that arrow touches the edge of the rendering, that looks like what could be that bottom edge of 60. And if you look at where that is in relation to the rendering of where that driveway is supposed to be placed, it dumps directly into that encroachment area.
Okay, it looks, let me see here. It looks to me, and here, let me take a snapshot of this so I can draw on it a little bit better. So it looks to me like, let me see if I get this right. I'm just going to pull these up side by side. I believe that it's in this area right here, this corner that I'm marking in red.
You can see the center point of the proposed cul-de-sac is where this driveway ends. And you can see the proposed center point of the rendering where the proposed cul-de-sac would be.
Are you saying that this center point right here?
Yes, that is the center point marker. And you can see the center point marker on the other rendering as well.
Yeah.
You can see where that proposed driveway is supposed to come out and the way it is indicated on the road. So sorry about.
No, that's fine.
What?
Well, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that the encroachment area that was granted is below that
Yep,
vertical line.
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
So
The property, your property line, so almost your entire driveway is in Sudden Valley's areas.
that is correct.
And so when I look at this map, the arrow is pointing to the area of your driveway that is below that vertical line.
So if you would, there is an image labeled driveway bramble in that package of images or files that I sent. This is a photo that I took this afternoon
Oh, I hope
of
this works.
the driveway. So is it corrupted or not wanting to open?
I don't know.
Let me convert it to a JPEG and resend it to you.
If I open it with a browser, will it work?
Maybe it's just a higher resolution photo. I think it's a weird.
Yeah, the uncompressed format for Photoshop.
Yeah, let me export it as a PDF.
Sure. Yeah, it's and when I'm first looking at this, I think it appears to be pretty consistent with the Jepson survey that was done. And I think this area where this arrow is pointing, this encroachment area, is just defining with those hash marks that here's the approximate location of the driveway, saying, yeah, you're allowed to encroach this drive. I think this is saying this property owner here is allowed to have this driveway encroach onto Sudden Valley. This Sudden Valley lot, Sudden Valley right away. That's all this appears to say, but I'm not a land use attorney.
Well, and I don't know, does it say anything about track 20 in this document? That's the other part I was looking for, was to where it said something like, I was expecting to see this coincides with the lot lines extending from track 2 and.
Do you have this document as well, Richard?
No, I don't. I'm seeing it on your screen. Because what I read is SVCA owns property adjacent and abutting to the vendor property, commonly referred to as Bramble Way, which is the street. And then they're saying, yeah, absolutely, this is you can use this chunk of land for your driveway, where your driveway's at.
That's my understanding of it. Yep.
Yeah.
And they're calling this an encroachment area. So
Not exclusive too.
It's granting them permission to continue to utilize this encroachment area.
I believe the language also is explicit in that the encroachment area shouldn't be modified.
Can you scroll down just a little more, Joel?
Yeah.
I did just send a reformatted version of that photo.
Okay.
But it kind of, I guess, closes the gap a little bit, maybe on what I'm seeing and experiencing versus what we're looking at in a two-dimensional space.
All right, grabbing the driveway Bramble PDF.
Yep, that's the one.
You scroll down just a little bit more there, Joel.
Okay, one sec here. I'm working off a one little laptop screen, and I've got a million windows open. Okay, close this. Here's the driveway I just got. Let's go back here.
So this, actually, I apologize. This photo was taken about a week and a half ago, and this was the original line that was indicating the left side of the driveway. And as you can see my flat gravel driveway. Those two vehicles are parked on that area that is known as the encroachment area. On the maps, again, it shows that tract 2 should have a 30-foot width of access to Bramble, and clearly that is not 30 feet.
So now I understand what you're saying. This totally makes sense. So you're basically taking the front of tract 2 and projecting that front onto the street next to your driveway and saying there needs to be a 30-foot gap.
Well, there's no cul-de-sac, so that's what's there.
Well, yeah, but if that map doesn't matter, then neither does any other map. I mean, the plot is, yeah, there's a 30-foot difference between plot 116 and 60 because of track 2, but that doesn't extend out to the side of your driveway and give you a 30-foot easement between you and any other thing that would contact the road there. That's not what this document says.
Then I'm confused as to why lot 60 is afforded that access when the property line also doesn't extend all the way to where the actual road is.
The plan he's submitting doesn't show that it goes into tract 2 at all. It shows that he's very clear of tract 2.
Yes.
But the 30-foot distance between your driveway and his, that's not spelled out in this document, nor would it be something that we could enforce, because it says the SVCA can allow that. Because you don't have control of that property, you're allowed to have your driveway there, but that is all. You're not even allowed to make improvements based on this document. You can't do anything to your driveway without Sudden Valley's permission. That's what the document says that I'm reading. Which would come from the maintenance manager or the GM. It wouldn't come from us, just to be clear. So I think that the plan that he's submitting shows that he is way clear of track 2, that he's clear of your driveway, and I don't see anywhere in here where it says that there has to be a 30-foot separation between your driveway, which is on SVCA property, and any other driveway that connects to that road.
Correct.
So I apologize. My husband was speaking to me and I was muted. I thought I wasn't muted. I guess I'm just a little bit confused as to why the access is being granted. I have one more photo I'm gonna send to Joel, and this is the one I actually intended to send. The one that I sent was, it exemplifies the issue, but I think this exemplifies it slightly better. You can see where the marker is in this proposed cul-de-sac, and you can see it in proximity to where this proposed driveway would go. I understand that you're basing your decision of approval or non-approval on plans that are submitted, but the plans, again, don't really seem to reflect what is actually happening on the street. So I've just sent one more image. It's labeled as image IMG 7344. It should be another PDF that's coming through.
Sure, I'm waiting for it.
Okay, awesome. It's looks like it's in my outbox right now. Sorry about that. I don't know why it's taking so long.
Chad, just to be clear, you have no intention of getting into track 2 whatsoever. Is that correct?
No, I do not. We like it preserved to keep the separation with the trees and making it look like a private. It's beautiful with those trees there.
Okay.
So even if you were to extend that top line of track 2 as it shows on the screen, if you were to drop straight across, that would be the extension. You wouldn't curve track 2 and take the 30 feet up between the driveways. That would have to be, that's a whole nother deal.
That's correct, yeah.
And I would absolutely reach out to Sudden Valley, the GM that we have now, whoever that may be, and ask them if they ever had a survey done or anything, because I'm a homeowner in Sudden Valley. I live actually down the hill from you on Sweet Clover Circle, and in fact the property we just looked at right before this, the homeowner discovered after he bought the property that there's supposed to be a cul-de-sac there, and his property line was over 20 feet away from the road. And then he had to set his house back another 20 feet on top of that. So.
Yeah, I totally
This is
understand,
not
but
uncommon to see this kind of stuff.
I know,
but,
I know this isn't the only instance of it, but the burden of the knowledge of that information should be on the people who are developing and making plans, and shouldn't be the burden of the existing homeowners to.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. And what you've presented to us, if in any way, shape or form, his property or his plans showed that he was gonna infringe on your driveway, I would be right there with you, but he's not presenting anything that's showing that. So I'm inclined to approve his plans as submitted with the comment that don't infringe on this easement, or I'm sorry, I forgot what the name of the document was.
It's an encroachment area, but it's a
Encroachment area.
yeah. I don't know if that other image came through, Joel. It's just labeled IMG 7344, and it should be another PDF. And this one is oriented. It shows I'm standing kind of in the middle of the road. You can see the marker for where the proposed cul-de-sac would be. If you reorient it, you can see where new spray paint was added. I think over the weekend, or maybe right before the weekend, that on the left-hand side, that shows a driveway angled towards the center of the cul-de-sac and then flared the other direction in the top right corner at the base of that really large tree. And the way this is painted proposes that it is going to interfere with that encroachment area. You can see where that marker is, and that is a marker that's featured on all of the maps as well.
So you're not touching your driveway. Your driveway would be the encroachment area.
My driveway extends all the way to that marker, as is stated in the legal document.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would have that surveyed. I would just make sure you get that surveyed, and I would talk to Sudden Valley to make.
I already have an existing survey. It's attached to the deed that I already have. The burden
survey
is
of the
not on
encroachment?
me. I have a document that states what the encroachment is.
I see a hand-drawn encroachment area, and
if Joel would be so kind as to pull up the survey of lots 115, 114, you will see this same drawing exists on the survey that was done. It is in there. There is a copy of the most recent survey of this property that I included.
Which file is that?
That is going to be, give me just 1 second here. That is going to be, it starts with AF, capital AF, and the pound sign.
Up to and approximately.
So I don't need to have my property resurveyed. The property.
No, you don't. I agree with you. We're in agreement. You supplied documentation. We are telling you he's not encroaching on your driveway. That's all we can do, is promise you that we're going to monitor it and he's not going to encroach on the driveway. There is nothing else we can do, because he has access to the road. He owns the property, and he is a homeowner in Sudden Valley who is a dues paying member who has paid his dues. So we have to take him just as seriously as we're taking you. And I feel for you in this particular instance, because I see where you're interpreting the documents in one way, and I can see how Sudden Valley may interpret those documents in a different way. Neither here nor there. Your driveway is there, and you've been allowed to have an encroachment on the Sudden Valley right of way, which is absolutely fine. And your document clearly states that you can have it there, as long as he doesn't disturb your driveway. Now, as far as tying into a culvert during construction, that's a different story. And your interactions with the construction crew and your neighbor, that may be a whole different discussion. But again, we don't represent the builder. We represent people that own property and have paid their dues, so homeowners in Sudden Valley. And that's my feeling is I'm going to tell you, we're not going to approve it if he's going to get into your encroachment area. He's not going to get into your encroachment area. I can only say it that many times. It's not going to happen. He's not going to mess with your driveway.
So is there no concern with just the photo that I've provided that shows where the
Nope.
driveway is supposed to go? That there's no concern with the intersection of our driveways? Is that not a safety issue?
Only if he connects to your driveway, but he hasn't done that. And he hasn't even started digging yet. So it would only become a concern if there's a backhoe out there digging out the side of your driveway. And that's not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, the plan he submitted says his driveway is not going to be there.
Yeah, and I think my concern is that I've seen a consistent pattern of behavior that, you know, from the representative from Rubicon, that they are planning on doing whatever they would like to do. And that's been made pretty clear by the actions and the statements made about, you know, we're going to take out what trees we want. We're going to dig up your driveway the way we want. I think it's a policy of asking for forgiveness instead of permission. And so with all due respect, I don't feel like I am being supported or represented or advocated for in this situation. There should be more questions being asked about why this issue exists and more solutions being proposed before we're introducing all these extra factors to this area. I mean, we haven't even discussed the geological concerns.
That's a question for Whatcom County. That is not a geological survey is not something that this volunteer committee can handle. We're not geologists. That's not our, we would, if an expert presented something to us, we would consider it, but we're not experts in geology, in forestry, or any of those other related fields.
Understood. And so if there's a lack of knowledge or if there's a gap, then I think the decision should be to defer, not to.
We would rely on Whatcom County to tell us whether or not they meet all the permitting requirements, because they employ experts in all of those fields. And Whatcom County comes and does inspections along with Sudden Valley. It's not just a one-sided thing. We do inspections periodically throughout the construction process. Whatcom County does that.
I understand that. I've had 2 houses built on this street since 2019. I'm very familiar with the processes. I understand inspection. I understand, you know, there are multiple levels to the permitting process because of the geological sensitivities in the area, as well as the wildlife habitat, the conservation aspects of things. Again, in a situation where there is ambiguity, in most scenarios, professionals would generally lean towards not acting as opposed to acting. And it's just concerning to me that we would prioritize a private business over, you know, an existing resident of the street.
Well, I would disagree with your view. We are not prioritizing him over you. We are listening to both of you. We've given you both the same amount of time to be here and discuss this. And we've told you that we're not going to allow him to impinge on your driveway or infringe on the encroachment area. And I'm assuming he's still here. I can't see him on my screen, but I assume he's getting the same.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah. And I would hope that you would agree you're not going to infringe on the encroachment area.
Well, and to vouch, I've built several homes with him and dealt with Joel. We've always could probably vouch. We follow the rules. We try to do our best to go with everything and follow the rules. We follow all of Sudden Valley rules, and we have a history of doing that with all our neighbors and all the areas we've built. We do not believe in being a cowboy and doing whatever we want, because we already know Joel's coming out to do his job, and we'll inspect the location of the driveway, the width of the driveway, and where it's at before we could even pour. And if we try to pull fast ones, Sudden Valley will then fight on us ever building in there anymore. And we know that's how that will be. And we try to make beautiful homes inside areas where everybody is happy to have a house and are happy to have Rubicon around.
Okay, guys, I think we've heard enough from everyone tonight. Joe Jean, did you need to hear anything else? You ready to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to that picture that has the little red circles on it that shows the track 2.
Yeah, Joel, can you,
The other one that is the
yeah, Joel can bring that up. I know.
Yeah,
which one you're
where did I
talking
put it?
about. Where'd you put it, Joel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the one that you had next to this one.
Next to the survey, these two together.
Yeah, that one. Okay, my question is, does track 2 go from that red dot on the corner of lot 60? Does it go straight towards those words that said Bramble Way?
Nope,
Uh,
it stops right there.
Mhm.
That dotted line is the property line.
What dotted line?
When he zooms in, you can see it on
Yeah, here.
track 2. That dotted line
All right.
back and on the front, there's a dotted line there for track 2. I've got a different map on my screen. I'm looking at the assessor's website.
Yeah, right there. You can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
just go, move over to the right. Okay, stop.
Mhm.
And
Oops,
you went too far.
a little touchy here.
Okay, stop there.
There's a there is a great map of track 2. It's another one of the documents that's included that I sent along.
Okay, let me ask my question.
Yeah, yeah.
Does this little green track 2, does it end right here by that red dot? Or does it go all the way to the right to Bramble Way? That's pavement.
Usually this is just it right here. Well, track 2 is what you see in this green box, and so it ends where this.
Okay,
red
so
dot-
what is this, where this is their driveway, right?
this-
And is this just part of the cul-de-sac and that's the driveway of 114, 116 or whatever?
Yeah, so right now is their driveways almost entirely in Sudden Valley property where the cul-de-sacs.
Okay, but this thing right here, is the right underneath that little A. Yes, okay.
Yeah, all this green in here is all Sudden Valley owned.
But you see right, it says Bramble Way, and then just to the
Yeah.
left of it, it has a driveway. That's the driveway of 116.
Yeah, that's Mac's driveway.
Okay.
That's
And-
the
and-
encroachment area.
And so half of their driveway is in, nothing's in none of their driveway is in track 2.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so what is their driveway on? I mean, is that just part of the cul-de-sac?
It's all on Sudden Valley property. It's all
Okay.
on the Sudden Valley right away, and it's been
Okay,
a permanent
okay,
encroachment.
lot number 60 is gonna put their driveway the way you have the red lines.
Correct. Approximately.
Okay, and does it have to be 60 feet away from their driveway?
No.
Does not have to be.
Then I don't see an issue.
Yeah, no, there's no issue. Yeah, that I see either. I don't see an issue with that.
So I have a question. The area that is not marked up in this piece right here, this white space. So
In here?
what is that designated as?
All this white space here, I'll mark it as magenta. All this white space in here,
ROW.
this is all Sudden Valley owned land. All this in here. And so a lot of times folks think that the edge of the pavement here is where Sudden Valley property ends. But that's most likely not the case. And so that's the reason for this yellow gravel driveway and for that permission for this encroachment permit for that gravel driveway to exist. Sudden Valley is recognizing that, yes, we understand that this gravel driveway is on Sudden Valley SVC owned land. all this magenta, this green encircled stuff, and we are allowing it to exist here. However, use, the language in the document is better than I can. So in layman's terms, it's saying you're allowed to have this gravel driveway for purposes of access to your house, your lot, which is down below. But they're stating that you will never own, have ownership.
Yes,
of this gravel
yes,
driveway.
yeah, no, I'm clear of the meaning of the document, the
yeah.
license. I think where I continue to feel some challenge is that on the maps of tract 2, it is supposed to have that, so that distance between the front of 115 and where it meets the corner of 60 is a 30-foot distance. And that 30-foot distance is supposed to border on street access, according to the maps of tract 2. And if you pull the tax document
hang on.
of tract 2, which I included, it's listed, it's a PDF, and it is titled Whatcom County. It's Whatcom County Assessor and Treasurer Property Details. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. That's the wrong document. I have, oh, I'm so sorry. It's been a long day today. It's Whatcom, WA, and that is that's the legal title that goes with tract 2, and it's got a really nice map actually laid over the trees.
This is the one?
Give me just a second to take a look.
Nice.
Yes, this is the one that I'm talking about. So tract 2 is supposed to have that space that borders on this theoretical cul-de-sac, and
It does.
That's exactly what we looked at, I think.
That's so on this red rectangle here, the right edge of that this right side is right here.
Yeah.
yes.
That's-
But if you stand outside my house and you measure from where my real encroachment area is to where tract 2 is, and where this proposed driveway is going to go, and the edge of what has been marked as the property corner of lot 60, it does not add up. There are not 30 feet there.
It's
30
because that 30 feet is not guaranteed. There's no guarantee that 30 foot would be between your driveway and his. You're basically changing the access for everybody, because realistically, people can come and park right there in the road in front of your driveway and walk down between there and go through that green space. It's all Sudden Valley owned green space.
Okay, so theoretically, can I park my vehicle there?
If you think you can get it down there and out of there, you're not allowed to build anything there. So that's the.
Well, I'm not interested in building anything there, but if it prevents the development of that piece of land,
It
then
doesn't prevent the
sure will.
development. Because you're on Sudden Valley property. So if you wanted to develop the 116 property and build a house down there, your permanent encroachment would be modified by Sudden Valley and your driveway would get moved.
Well, no, because the access to 116 is K4, which is the keyway that runs behind the properties.
Well, then you don't have anything
Access
to worry
can-
about.
Yeah, access can change too.
Yeah, it can, but
Let me talk to him.
Okay, guys, we spent a lot of time on this one. I think we need to, we've heard a lot from both, and I appreciate Chad and Mac, your time and everything on this. And I think we need to move forward with the motion.
so I move to approve the construction with comment and appropriate county permits for everything.
I'll second.
Okay, and again, the address on this one, so I have it correct.
31 Bramble Way, right?
Yeah, 31, but then I'm making my notes because I want to make sure we have the notes. I was writing a recorded deed. I want to make sure I got it on the right. Because the office was closed, I printed at home, and trying to save, I front and backed. And so everything printed front and back, so like my pages are, I could have two applications on one side, one on the other. Okay, so,
Joel, Joel, is it possible for you, this little markup that you have, is it possible for you to sort of save that and include that as part of the notes of the meeting so we can, because at the very beginning of this, I was really confused about the 30 feet and
Right, I was
where
too.
that came into play. This really tells the story of where that 30 feet came from and how this all looks.
Mhm.
wow.
Because that's a really steep hill back there. I mean, I'm just to be clear, I'm not going on a walk and track too, because I know how steep it is, but it's a very difficult area to develop, and I certainly understand that there's a lot of concern there. But it's you know, if as long as they follow all of the rules that are designed to preserve and protect the area while still allowing people to move and live here. Again, you know, I've already motioned to approve with the comments, so, and Joe Jean is seconded.
Joe Jean seconded.
Yes.
Okay, that's been approved unanimously with comments. And Chad, now you know you got a neighbor watching you. So please make her happy and do your best.
We will.
And
I know you will.
We will keep an eye on it. Everybody, I mean, I just live down the street, so I need the exercise walking up and down those hills.
Right. And Mac, thank you very much for your time. I certainly appreciate it. And believe me, we heard everything you had to say, and so did Chad.
Thank you.
Thank you,
John,
guys.
if you could remove Mac and put her back, I'd appreciate that.
All right.
Attendees. And do we have any other attendees, John, or that's it?
That's everybody for tonight.
Okay.
What do we have left?
Yeah,
Lost track
exactly.
of where we were at.
So I think we're actually on item number 2, which is 45 Windward Drive. I may go over a couple of these.
Can I interrupt one second?
Yep, please.
What,
Go ahead.
I believe there was a discussion item.
Oh, thank you very much, Joel. I appreciate that. Guys, let's jump down to item number 21, which is 7 Granite Circle.
All right.
Now, this is a situation where I believe our George Bryan, our land use planner, and maybe I believe Sonia might have got involved here and got some executive decision on this guy that built a garage, apparently approved to build a garage. I actually wanted to find more information about what was approved, and then actually built an apartment, basically. He's got a full-on bathroom with shower, kitchen, the whole thing.
Well, I wouldn't say full-on apartment. It's a garage. I went by and looked at it.
Yeah. So did I.
And yes, he does have a stove and a sink and a bathroom. But his story.
That's called a studio apartment.
It's still a hard concrete with a big garage door that he can park his cars in. And he is a fisherman, and he wanted to be able to deal with crab and clamming and things like that in his garage versus taking it into his house. That's why he added that into his construction.
The wife made him do it?
Well, I don't know if she made him do it. I think he's just an avid fisherman. So, and he happened to run into me, recognize me from the meetings and talked me up about it. And that's why I brought this up. I was like, well, that's interesting. I haven't heard anything about it. And I've been, part of the ACC off and on for the last 8 years. I was disappointed to hear that he's been waiting for roughly 18 months, it sounds like, to get his deposit back from Sudden Valley.
Are you kidding me?
No, he's got everything approved from the county. They approved everything. But the holdup is that as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, that the debate over whether or not this was an accessory dwelling, which violates our covenants, is what is holding up his. It's what's holding up his deposit.
Correct. So here's the deal. So is he not willing to sign the a restriction on it that he won't rent it out?
I don't know. The restriction thing is the first I heard of it was this group. So I'm not sure.
My familiarity with it is that it's not that he would. I think he's willing to sign an MOU, an agreement, to agree to never use it as a living space, but I don't believe that MOU has been drafted or given to him yet. But I'm unclear on the situation. I think George Bryan was pursuing it at the time, and then he left abruptly. And
here's the crazy part. On 3/27/21, there was a final inspection checklist completed by John Gordon, and it says at the bottom of the checklist, all ACC and RCW requirements fulfilled on March 27th, 2021. The deposit may be released. Signed, John W. Gordon. So at the time, John was our construction manager, and this document signed by him was turned into Sudden Valley. And then a second inspection happened at some other time. I don't have that document, but I have a copy of this inspection document.
Yeah, and I believe it was called because they were called to go do a few re-inspections for John Gordon's work, because we were concerned that this was happening already. This is why we had trouble with kind of that going on anyways. A lot of stuff was just getting pushed through, and yep, go ahead, don't worry about it. We'll sign off on it and do whatever you want. And that's why we're trying to stop that, you know.
Yeah, and I get that. It's just it's like, okay, well, he got a signed document, and while we may have had issue with that, or Sudden Valley may have, they can't go back and renege on the obligations and on the sign-offs and just say, okay, it's not done, and then make some wait this long.
You could if John Gordon was a third party vendor, which I don't know that he was or wasn't, if he was directly employed or not. But so where we're at now is it's already done. It's in there. What I think we need to do is it's funny because the county itself, Whatcom, also has a thing. You cannot have a standalone rentable accessory dwelling unit like that. They're not allowed to. So we shouldn't be allowed to have it here. And we're not allowed in our covenants. It says that. So what we need to do is get him to sign an MOU that he's going to understand that it can't become an Airbnb. It can't become.
Well, it's not even finished. It's just a kitchen counter, a stove, and a sink.
Well, it is right now. I mean, it can't be finished at some point, you know.
Well,
That doesn't mean it won't get finished at some time.
Yeah.
And I'm not disagreeing with that, but we don't go around and inspect every person's house in Sudden Valley either.
Maybe they
I
should
can go point out 3 or 4 houses that I know are Airbnbs. That have
Well, no, I'm not saying that Airbnb itself. I'm just saying having while you're living there, and now all of a sudden it becomes an extra rental unit all of a sudden, you know. Now we can't have that kind of stuff. You know?
Like I said, I know several houses that have finished out their basements with full on what I would consider a rentable space with kitchens, bathrooms, and bedrooms and basements.
Didn't we see one of those on Grandview a few months ago where they wanted to put a new back door or a side door and steps down to it?
Well, and that's true. And even there's a prominent house over on Marina Drive. It's got 2 addresses, one in the front, one in the back of the house on 2 different streets, and it's 2 living units. So yes, they exist, but technically we can allow those to exist here too. It can be for your mother. It has to be somebody with your name, a family member.
Okay, time out. Which house on Marina Drive that has 2 addresses?
Well, I don't want to say right now because.
Well, is the other one on Jubilee?
Yes.
Okay, that's a 1-family house, and there's only a 1-family living in.
Well, the house I'm talking about was recently sold, so
I know. I live across the street from it. And I've owned my house since 1988.
But see, again, so like you said, there's 1 family living in there, so that's an acceptable situation.
Well, I mean, you just said, and they do have 2 addresses, and I don't know why they do, but it's always been, in the years I've owned my property, a 1-family house. That's all I want to say about it, because there are other ones. And there's an Airbnb kind of across the street from there. And then there's another one farther down on that street that goes along the water's edge.
I just think we're at a point where we're beating the dead horse on this particular homeowner by not giving him his deposit back. So he has a nice garage that's painted and has windows. That doesn't mean it's a future apartment.
The real issue I have is I didn't think unattached structures could be on the same lot. I mean, I thought if you had a house and you wanted a garage, they had to be attached.
That's not necessarily true. You can do accessory dwellings, or not dwellings, sorry, accessory structures, based on topography and your lot coverage and things like that can come into play. So it was approved for him to build the garage. That was approved.
Problem is, he intentionally turned it into what could be a rental. That's the problem. So yeah, it may be a great place right now. It's also a great Airbnb, all finished out. That'd be a great little apartment, right? I mean, so that's the problem. We can't have that stuff.
Yeah, but we also can't tell people they can't finish out their garage and make it look nice. I mean,
okay, well,
I painted my garage. It looks nice. I think it does.
Did you put a shower, toilet, and a kitchen in there?
Not yet.
Okay, well, again, that's debatable, right? So
I would love to have a sink down there, I'll tell you that, but I can't afford to run the plumbing. That's a different story for me. But like I said, I looked at it and I was like, this looks like a garage to me. It looks like a nice garage. Yes. But it didn't appear to be something he was going to rent, and his story is plausible.
No.
And I think we have to take the homeowner at his word. I don't know about the signing the document saying we're not going to use it, but I think at the very least, we should be recommending to the board that this issue get resolved post haste. Because I mean, it was 18 months. I don't know how much money we're even talking about. I mean, this could be, what's a construction deposit in Sudden Valley? Is it $5,000?
Yeah, I don't know what he did on this one.
Yeah.
So the new home construction deposit now is 10 grand. The deposit for this, because it was a garage, was only $750.
Okay.
How much?
Well, still
$750.
$750.
$750.
That's what I have on.
I mean, it seems like Sudden Valley's put more than $750 worth of effort into this.
That is not the point. Okay.
Well, I get it. I understand not wanting to have it as an apartment, but we're also saying, okay, this one person, we're not going to return his deposit because he put a stove in a bathroom. In the approved plans, by the way, the plans had a bathroom in it, as I was told. I don't know that the stove was included in that, but
That's correct. Yeah, bathroom was included and approved. Kitchen area was not. It was not proposed on the original plans. And so just to be clear here, this garage area is elevated, and that's what you see with the bikes and everything. And this is what has access from the street. And then there's some stairs. You enter the garage, there's some stairs down. Those go downstairs into this living area. And there isn't another exterior door here. So this is accessible from the outside.
yeah.
It is.
Here's another shot of the inside.
And how many square feet is this garage?
This appears to be some flooring they'll put down, maybe some.
Yeah, look at the wood flooring.
Oh, yeah.
On the concrete. These are more recent. I don't know what's under the tarp there. But you can still see that.
Looks
Maybe that's the range. Maybe that's the stove under there. I mean, they've got couches in here. Could it be? I could easily see this as a rentable ADU. In my conversations with
poker room.
Yeah, in my conversations with county, I could be. In my conversation with county too, they would see any place with cooking services. That's when they kind of draw the line and say, okay, this is an ADU. So they classify it. I'm in agreement that it's my opinion that there should be some sort of MOU that says you can never use this as an ADU.
Has to be. Can you tell me the square footage of this?
I think we just need to. I think just action needs to be taken by either Sun Valley admin, GM, or the board on drafting that MOU and actually getting the work done.
Well,
Joel, what's the square footage of the garage?
Oh, I don't have these files with me.
I'm
not.
curious to the square
let me see.
footage and I'm curious whether it's conditioned.
So originally on the county website, it calls it an unheated space.
Calls it a what?
An unheated space.
Unheated.
It's listed as an unheated space.
Well, I guess I don't see a heater anywhere, but
Yeah,
I guess you could heat it with the stove.
could be radiant floor heating under there.
Maybe he's gonna sit on the couch and start his car and warm
I
up
really
the
don't
heat of
know.
the car.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm jealous. I want a poker room just like that.
No, it's great.
All right, so I'm interested in the square footage because this is way more than a garage to me. I mean, exposed beams and all.
Sure.
Come on, man. This is a rental unit.
Joel, do we have the plan, the initial, or is there a copy of the plan that was approved?
I
Did it
do have.
show a room underneath like this?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was approved.
Yes.
So I mean, that's the hard part here. It's like we approved it, or the committee approved it, and the county approved it.
But there were no proposal for kitchen hookups, plumbing in this area. There was a bathroom, but this could have been just a storage room at that point.
Yeah.
It's really the kitchen hookups that make it a livable.
Oh, this is the
Place.
same place, just on a different day, right?
Yeah, this is the same place,
Okay.
different day, different angle. So here's the door to the upstairs garage. The bathroom's over here. That's what's been proposed in the plans.
Yeah.
So the big hang up is a stove. Really?
Cooking surfaces. There's plumbing stubs here for a sink. These are all countertop height outlets. Here's what could be a
I'd say my recommendation, you'd have an MOU and you lose your deposit.
I would just say just a memo. Hell, if he signed a memo saying I'm not going to do this and submitted it to Sudden Valley, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. I think the action just needs to have action taken. That MOU needs somebody with authority needs to draft it and write it and get it done.
So
All right, I will bring
send
this.
him a letter as the ACC committee recommending that.
Well, my thought would be we would bring it to the board. That's another option, though. We could we got to get it to the board. The board's got to make their decision on what they want to do. So my recommendation, just me, would be we have an understanding, an agreement that there's going to be no rentals. It's not going to be an accessory, because it looks like it's set up for it totally to me, man. And so he has to sign that. And I would recommend, just a recommendation, the board can do what they want, but I would recommend that he forfeit his $750, which is a small price to pay, knowing he intently did that. He wasn't approved for it.
You mean forfeit the $750 if he won't sign, or if he won't submit something saying it's not going to be a rentable apartment?
No, I'd say you forfeit it anyways, and you sign.
I disagree, because I don't see a closet. I don't see a bedroom. I see a bathroom and a stove. And I agree with you that yes, in the future, absolutely, you could put a space heater in there. And if you wanted to truly rent it out to somebody, I guess you could. But
they're renting out sheds to people right now. So yeah, you could definitely rent that out.
well, but that puts us in a precarious position as a committee. And anytime we approve anything that could be considered an accessory dwelling, we have to make some kind of a statement saying, oh yeah, don't ever turn this into
We
a place
did.
where somebody
We
can live.
actually have done that. We
But
just did
it's
that.
already it's already in the covenants. So
We
why
just-
is there a need for us to put this in there after we approved his project? Or I shouldn't say we, I don't recall approving this, but
Well, me neither. I don't recall approving this either, but so I don't know when it was approved, but I could say why the need, because look at this happened.
Yeah.
This is in the covenants and this happened.
we approved it.
This is
That's
why-
the problem. The problem is we
why
approved it.
this is why the need to say that, though. So it's approved, but we need to say this. You cannot rent it out. And we just had a board member, Shauna, who she's doing a thing for her mother downstairs, her mother-in-law, and the same thing. And we had to make it clear. Yes, we understand what you're doing, but it can't be a rental. It's not an Airbnb. It has to be a family member that's staying in there.
Yeah.
And they have to agree to that.
So do we have a boilerplate document that we could provide him to sign? Something that says that?
Probably not boilerplate.
Not that I'm familiar with.
So I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I
Yeah.
think that I would be on board with saying, hey, if you're not willing to declare that you're not going to rent this out to random people, then you're going to be forfeit your deposit. I'm okay. I'm on
Okay.
board with that, but I think that the feather is better than the stick in this instance. And we say, hey, look, sorry, we've kept you so long. We just need you to sign this saying you're not going to rent it out, and we'll get you your deposit back.
All right, so you want to do document or lose your deposit?
That's my preference, or for recommendations. I would hope that, I mean, because it's somewhat binding, and he could be fined by Sudden Valley if he decides to rent it out.
Well, to me, the document's mandatory, irregardless. $750, I'd throw it at you in a heartbeat if I could rent that out for $1,000 a month. What would I care? I'll pay your $750 for once. But I think the document's more important, but it is up to the board. So if that's going to be our decision on that, then that's what I would recommend, that we have this guy sign a document that this is not going to be a rental unit. It's not going to be used as an accessory dwelling unit, an apartment, or anything else.
And something like that would allow him to have that kitchen in place, right, for his own personal use, but just not be able to rent it out.
Yeah. Well, I don't see any heat anywhere in there, so it's got to be a cold bugger in the winter.
Yeah,
I didn't see. I was looking for vents in some of those pictures. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, so that's so I was concerned about square footage, because I did see the county has restrictions on square footage for even accessory dwelling units themselves. So they have their own rules and regulations, and ours are a little more stringent. So if we're done with the discussion on 7 Granite Circle, then that's going to be our recommendation to the board, is that we have an MOU signed that this will not be used as a rental structure.
That makes sense.
Are we going to make that carry through to new owners?
Yes, it would be, my thing, it would go, it gets attached to the deed. So yeah, so to me, every time it would just be transferred right onto the next person, is my understanding, but I'm not a lawyer either, so.
I got a ton of paperwork saying what I can't do with my house when I. So I have it in a binder somewhere, but I know it's in there. I just, like whatever. So do we also need to discuss 3 Stable Lane? I'm not familiar, but it says previously heard discussion.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that one real quick. Joel, that's it for you, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Joel, thank you very much. I'm sorry it went so late tonight, man, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. I wish, yeah. I wasn't aware of those documents on Brambleway, and I wish that was given to me earlier. I could have saved us a lot of time.
Yeah, it sounded like Chad was somewhat familiar with it, but not too much. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but I didn't see the problem myself on that. So hopefully a problem doesn't arise.
Yeah, it seemed all normal to me. All right, well, thank you.
All right, you have a good night.
You too.
Okay, let's go back and start at the top and go through the list real quick.
Okay.
So I think we're at number 2. 45 Windward Drive, tree removal.
Move to approve.
That one.
I'll move to approve.
Yeah. Second.
Okay, that's Joe, Jean, and Rich. And
And
Rich
we did
and
not-
I had approved, so that's unanimous.
Yeah. And those are small trees, so she doesn't even need a permit. They're 7 to 9 inch diameter trees. They were tiny.
Let's actually make that a comment on there, or one of our minutes, is no permit required based on diameter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write it down real quick. Based on diameter.
Yeah, I went back in the backyard and looked at it. And, I don't know how big the limit is and stuff. It looked a little small, but it looked dead and everything. So I don't have a problem.
It's 10 inches or smaller for deciduous, and 12 inches or smaller for
yeah.
evergreens.
Yeah, and these were dead, were they not?
Yeah, they were dead.
Yeah, I wrote on there, both dead. Yeah, I wrote the same thing, small tree, dead. Okay, that was approved unanimously. Okay, now item number 3, we already did that one. 29 Grandview. Item number 4 we did, that was 5 Green Hill. Okay, item number 5 is 55 Hillside Place. It's tree trimming removal. Doesn't sound familiar. I don't think I looked at this one.
I didn't either, but they had a.
Oh, they have a harvest report. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the motion on that?
Move to approve.
Second,
Okay, move to approve. Permits where required. County permit required. Permit required, our only comment, that's approved unanimous with, okay, number 6 is 28 Tumbling Water Drive.
Move to approve.
second,
No name. Okay, that was Rich and Joe Jean. I'm sorry, 28. Yeah, Rich and Joe Jean. And that's unanimous. That's been approved. Okay, item number. Go ahead.
do they need county, do they need a county approval?
They
Or-
do. Actually, that's just the alder.
No,
Probably not, based on that size.
looks kind of small.
It does.
It's under 10 inches.
Yeah, I don't think a permit's needed on that one. Okay, 43 Windward Drive, item number 7. And I have seen notes.
That he was just changing from pea gravel to a concrete surface, just resurfacing his.
Yeah. Is this an impervious?
Well, so that's the question I had, because looking at it, I was thinking the same thing, pea gravel, but it doesn't look like just pea gravel to me. It looked like it was compacted, and he's been driving on it for years, so it is compacted, so it's considered an impervious surface now. But originally, Joe Jean, I was on the same line thinking, oh, pea gravel, they made him do it for its drainage, and now he wants to replace it with concrete, so it's not like for like. But in this case, the county determines any roadway that you use with gravel and you drive on it or park on it or a driveway, it's considered compacted and they consider it impervious surface. So it wouldn't matter if it's gravel or concrete in this case.
And what about the covering the square foot of the lot? Because it's going to be the same.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
just covering the same area, just the same driveway area is what I understood.
Yeah, but you see, so she's thinking the same thing I was thinking when I did it. If that was impervious surface to begin with, because of lot coverage issues, so they didn't let them do it concrete. They said, oh, you do pea gravel, because maybe they were thinking it's impervious or pervious surface. And then now he wants to change it. Now could he be over lot coverage? So it brought up other issues too. And I was thinking, it almost looks like concrete now. So why don't we just go ahead and say, what's the difference? You know, rip it up, make it permanent. But the lot coverage issue did come up to mind, in my mind as well.
Well, we could always approve it with the note that you need to obtain the necessary county permits. And then that way the county can tell you whether or not it was supposed to be impervious previously.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because
that was the only thing I didn't do, because I didn't check his lot. So we could do that. We could move to approve. We could move to approve with county approval. With county. Yeah, county approval.
Yeah, because I think this could potentially affect drainage, open space and lot coverage, exterior appearance, may even affect his setback. Never know.
No, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, you're right.
You never know. It might affect. They might say, oh, that's structure, and suddenly he's, you know.
All right, so we're gonna do it, but I like how it looked now. They actually did a really good job on that driveway now. It looked great. So I know they're gonna do a fantastic job with concrete. It was just a matter of lot coverage. The same thing I was thinking. So we're gonna move to, the motion would be to move to approve pending county approval for lot coverage.
Yep.
That sound fair?
Sounds good.
I'll second.
Okay, that's Rich or Keith and Joe Jean on that one. Keith, Joe Jean, and that was unanimous. Okay, item number 8, 82 North Point. This is actually this one. What was this one? This is just the landscaping, right? Where's the fence?
Oh, you really can't see the fence because they don't really have it there. It's gonna be under some bushes and stuff.
That's the blue line.
Yeah, so what I told her is that we would approved, I can't speak for the group, but I said we most likely would approve your landscaping, but would not approve your fence because you have not submitted a fence request at this time. They just submitted landscaping. And she wasn't sure on the fence. Her husband had moved it around a little bit. She thought it was going to be 100-foot long and then 80-foot long. And then it's right up against the property on one side. And I said, that's going to be an issue right there. It almost looked like a creek, but a little green belt or something ran right through there.
Oh, behind it is green space.
Yeah.
Windward, you know, you go up windward and behind the property is a green space.
So I told her most likely we would not approve the fence at this because she didn't submit it for a fence. This is just alternation request. She didn't submit a fence request. So it would be my recommendation that we approve her landscaping. It's all flat area now. They're not going to bother any roots or anything like that. So we could approve her landscaping, but not approve her fence at this time.
And I would also add the note because she said she's going to be using small earth moving equipment.
Yeah.
To me, small means a small excavator or something.
Yeah.
So I would just add a note that after, what is it, September 30th, can't move more than 500 square feet of earth.
September 30th is your cutoff.
Yeah. So all the filling and grading needs to be done before then.
Cutoff for dirt work. Okay, let's see, landscape, yes, careful of green belt and no coverage of roots and no fence. That's my notes. So, all right, I'm making that note. The cutoff for earthwork, September 30th. We are in agreement to approve the landscaping work, but no fence at this time because they didn't submit anything. They don't even know what they want really yet. She didn't know.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
That's right. Landscaping's approved, no fence.
Okay. We're all in agreement with that?
Yep.
Okay, that's unanimous. And that was 82 North Point. Okay, landscaped approved. No fence at this time. Okay, 18 Inlet Circle. Uh-oh, C notes on this one too.
Oh, that's
Okay. I'm not going to approve of the wall being painted black.
well, they're changing it to a stain instead. It looks different. It's way different.
Well, I climbed back there and you could hardly, I mean, one was black and the other was kind of black. And
Yeah.
I didn't think either one of them would look good from the street. And I would think that a gray one would kind of blend in with the landscape and stuff instead of that big black wall.
So,
Anyway, that's my opinion.
so you don't want it black. You prefer like a dark gray?
Yeah, or what the, you know,
How about-
the last wall they were that by the driveway, they were going to paint that one gray, and I think some shade of gray would be better than dark black.
Gray, or how about the house color? Was the house color was kind of green, was it? Like a greeny color?
Actually, I walk by it about 7 times a week, and I don't know what color.
Okay, so we're gonna say no on black. And recommend a shade of gray?
Or a shade, some lighter color. I mean,
More
you
neutral
wouldn't
color.
think-
Isn't concrete already gray?
Yes.
Well, it is, but, and don't we not like painting concrete?
Yeah, we don't. I don't like it myself.
But
But he,
this
I don't
one-
like painting it, but it says he's wanting to switch from paint to stain, which is different. The stain doesn't
Yes.
fade and it sinks into the concrete. Once it's on there, you can't clean it off. I have experience with staining
So once
concrete.
it's black, it's black.
Yeah, once it's stained, no matter what color it is, it's that
Well,
color.
I just think black would make it, the whole back of the house kind of depressing and stuff. And you can see it from the street.
You can see a small section of it. You can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to know what size car can get up that driveway and into the garage.
No.
Yeah, no kidding. All
Um,
right, so we're gonna recommend, although the black stain, so that's interesting. I didn't see the stain thing. So black paint and stain, you're right, two different things. The stain, I'm more inclined to see how that looks on the concrete, but I do agree, the black I wasn't fond of when I first saw it up there, although it kind of makes it like a dark hole and it makes the wall kind of disappear, I guess, or look smaller. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what the
Well,
intent was.
it looked to me like a chunk of it was painted black, and then the other the not quite black, that was the stained section.
That's what I
Yeah.
could have thought. It almost was like they didn't have enough paint.
Yeah, that's just the difference. It's a stain. It's a little lighter, and you see the concrete through it, but stained concrete can look pretty nice. I mean, it's hard. It's not my taste, but I'm on board with. We'd like to see a better color.
All right, so what's our motion on this one?
Defer for a possible different color.
Oh, that's good. We don't want to make too many decisions tonight.
There you go. Yeah.
Defer. So we're denying it. Denied as submitted. We want a different color. So
You really can't deny something because then they're not supposed to put in a request to kind of do the same thing.
to redo it. Denied as originally submitted. So let me try it again a year later. Okay, so we're gonna defer with suggestions of different color. And it's Chad. He can do something different. He will. Okay, so we'll say that one. That's unanimous. That's 18 inlet circle. Who made that motion, by the way?
I will.
That's okay. We'll go Joe Jean and Rich, and then unanimous. Okay, 27 inlet circle. Also C notes.
Move to approve.
Uh,
Also, I'd like to know, is the hot tub included with the deck rebuild? Because
okay.
I gotta find me a deck builder.
Well, so this one, I had a couple questions. For one, I have a few questions.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
It looked to me like he was rebuilding what was there with a composite and nicer railing.
Yeah, but
I couldn't tell what he was doing with the pictures he included.
Yeah, but somewhere, so here's my notes.
Oh,
The,
wait,
the entire front yard of this place right now is compacted gravel.
yeah,
Yep.
The entire front yard. So that's impervious surface. Okay, it's all parking. 2, he dug up around the entire house for stormwater runoff. Did you guys walk the house?
Yeah.
that's not, I walked past it 7 times.
He's redirecting all the stormwater, and right now out of the back of the house, it's not going into some catch basin. It's going right out in the back into a street.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where that idea came from, just to dump all that onto the street. And then number 3, I wrote, we need the lot coverage calculations, including all impervious surfaces, because I think right now he's way over. And then the steps he's proposing on this proposal are in the setback zone. They're like clearly like right on the property line. He's almost outside of it. So I had some issues with the coverage on it and the work that's already kind of taken place.
Well, yeah, but he's not adding to the coverage. He's just replacing what's already there.
He's adding to it. So he told me he's expanding the deck's like 4 foot wider on the one side and in the back.
See, I didn't talk to him. I just looked and it was like, okay, that looks the same size.
Yes, it did. It was very hard. I got lucky. I couldn't find the place and some car parked there and I asked, hey, do you know where these people live? And she goes, yeah.
You want to know what my first comment about this house was?
Yes.
Need the address of visible from street.
Yeah, couldn't find it.
I don't think they have one, but let me tell you, that house looks 100% better than it did 9 months ago. I mean,
So he's doing a lot of work.
And, oh, they painted it. They took all the decks and stuff off. I mean, they really made it look better, but it still needs a lot of work.
Now,
So-
go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
can we, so I don't see any permits attached. I mean, I see a lot of nice drawings. I wasn't aware, at least I don't believe decks are considered, they're pervious surfaces, is what I understood. I didn't think the concrete steps would affect it that much, but then I forgot to think about the gravel. If the gravel, I often forget that that's impervious surface. So he might need to do some work and get some county permitting. So I think what we could do
Yeah.
is defer it on approval of county permits, and make the note that we're not sure that you're probably over the lot coverage and impervious surface coverages.
So how about we make the motion to approve with county permits? And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, that works. Yeah.
Well, don't we always already think that the new deck is going to be too close to the property line on the park side? You know, right across the street from whatever that park is. And his little red stakes looked like they were all, you know, kind of falling off the edge of his property.
Yeah, down toward the street, right? That's
Yeah. You know, you
Yeah,
really
but I thought that lot goes all the way through, doesn't it? Doesn't it go?
it goes from one street to,
Yeah.
but the side on the park by the water is where he's putting the new decks. And
Yeah.
they looked like they were way closer to the street than they should be.
Yeah, he moved that side down closer to the street. He did.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So
Yeah, I guess, I mean, well, again, permitting and he'd need to abide by the 5-foot setbacks. We can make that note as well.
all right, so we're gonna move to approve with county approval and permits. Must abide by all setbacks. So 1, 2, by all setbacks. And do we make any comment about the stormwater just running off? I mean, he just basically dug canals around the house. I get it, get the water away from your house, but he's just trudging it right out in the street and we're right on the lake right there.
Well, I think that so stormwater systems are relatively, in terms of construction, are new, and we don't typically force
Right.
older homes to install new stormwater systems. I think that we're in a position where we could recommend that, since he seems to be doing stormwater upgrades. But I don't think we can, I mean,
Yeah.
for all we know, he just dug up maybe some crushed pipes and fixing them. Maybe they've all been there. I don't know.
That's what yeah.
Because I know several houses around me that don't have catch basins, including newer homes behind me, that the water just runs down the hill if there's an overflow. I've seen it.
So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna approve with county permits and approval by county, must abide by all Sudden Valley setbacks. And we recommend a stormwater detention basin system. We can recommend it. He can look into it. No one's gonna put it in at their own expense, you know?
Well, we might say something about not dumping it onto the street.
Yeah, it should only run to the culvert or the ditch.
And I don't know if there's a ditch back there because
There wasn't one.
it comes around the corner and I think it kind of ends there or something.
That's weird, yeah, because there isn't a ditch back there. There was almost like a carpet. It was just flat as could be right there, and it was just dumping right off the end. I was like, wow, where's your?
They have a no parking sign there, so you know it's perfectly flat.
Okay, so all right, so that's our notes. on that. So that's that's all our notes on there. We want the approval by county with approval for permit, must abide by all setbacks, recommend stormwater detention system, and concerned about your lot coverage. But that'll be taken care of at the county, so.
Yep.
Is that
And
correct?
say, in parentheses, thank you for improving this property. It looks much better.
And PS, please put your address. So
Oh,
P.S.
yeah, so that was a good one. Yeah, okay. So that is, that was unanimous with comments. Okay, and now we're on to number 11 we did, 12 we did, 13 we did. Now we're on to item number 14, the 71 Valley Crest Way. And
I
I think
approve.
that was an easy one. Oh, that was a paint. Let me get over there.
Oh, we just approved this color for someone else, didn't we?
Okay, so
blue with copper trim.
it's not copper, it's copper red. Did you guys look at the trim?
Yeah, blue with red trim.
Does that look good?
Well, if you're an America fan, it's basically red, white, and blue.
I'm not good on these colors, man. I got to be honest. I was like, I put yes on the blue and no on the copper red because I looked at it and I was like, oh gosh, no.
Well, what does it look like? Do you guys have color samples of it?
I looked at it on my computer screen. It's like
Yeah,
red.
I'm looking them up on my screen right now.
It's like red, copper red. I just couldn't go for it.
I mean, if it's really awful, we can just go back and say we've changed our mind. It was late.
Roycroft copper, that was what it was. Roycroft suede looked really good. I like that one. Roycroft copper. Let me see. Get it up again.
So the blue, I mean, it's a big house, so the blue is going to be pretty strong.
Yeah. Wow. Roycroft copper, everything in the world but the paint. What happened? Copper red.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I can see the orange tones in it, but I guess my question is, you know, when they say trim, I think trim boards on the corners and stuff. And based on the colors, I thought maybe they were thinking blue body, but they were going to do some shingles or something. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah. Like the gable ends or something like that with a little red on the shake or something.
Yeah.
But I'm having a hard time with this red for a trim with a blue, dark blue house.
I was looking up a picture of the house so I could. So it's basically an A-frame house. It's a very small house if you didn't go by it. And there's not a ton of trim, but so what I'm envisioning, so basically in the A-frame, there's an upstairs bedroom, it looks like, and a sliding glass door and a small deck that sticks out off the top. So you've got a door and a window, and that's your bottom rectangle, and then the A-frame with a small deck coming out. And so I'm picturing the house being blue, but then these red, because the railing for the upper deck is just looks to be 2x4s, but basically a boxed out 2x4. Almost, it reminds me of basically pallets on their side. That's the railing from, and I envision the blue house with that big red thing sticking out off the front, and then there's a nice deck below it. So I mean, it's a small enough house that I think the blue would look fine. I am just not super enthused by the red. It's a lot of trim for that red. But I will also say that the house is pretty far sort of set back off the road too. It's only a 768 square foot home.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's not bright green. It's not going to show up like that. I think it will probably blend into the environment pretty well. But it's a tough choice.
Is it a dark blue?
Yeah, it's navy blue. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say it's navy blue. It's a lighter version of navy blue. It's got more gray tone. It's a lot lighter than that deep dark navy blue color. It's got a little more it's a little lighter than that.
Well, for me, so I think of, I guess like Tommy Hilfiger or something like that, the clothing, like dark navy blue with the red stripe or something. I can't do it on the house. I can't go for the red myself. That's just me, my opinion. I'm good on the blue. I think that's fine. I just can't do a copper red trim. Unless they wanted to like maybe paint a little bit of it to show us what it looks like. But right now I just can't wrap my head around that.
So yeah, I could get on board with that. That makes sense to me. I like the navy blue. I am a Navy veteran, so that doesn't bother me at all. But the red it's a little much for as much trim as there is. I guess I'd want to know how much of the trim is going to be red.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't, I would. It'd be nice to see a sample of that in the sunlight.
Joe Jean, your thoughts?
I'll go along with whatever you guys say.
Okay, then that one we're going to approve the red or the navy blue.
I knew it. Freudian slip.
The naval blue approved, and we're going to say no on the trim for the copper red.
Yeah, I think our policy says that the trim should be complementary, and I think that's the proper wording. The trim is supposed to complement the color, something like that. It's in the policy.
Not make it stand out like a.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. So 71 Valley View, which is item number 14. We're in approval on the navy blue. Approved on the body. And a no on the trim. And that's unanimous. And that'll be, we're going to say Rich and Joe Jean.
Cool.
Okay. Item number 15, 10 Gooseberry Circle. This one, I would love to say, I move to approve. This
I
is
second.
Is that your house? Oh,
Are you good with it, Joe Jean?
yeah.
Uh-oh, there was hesitation. I thought it was a good one, nice and easy.
Attitude gray. I'm pretty sure that and alabaster look just like many of the other pre-approved colors.
Yeah, and then their front door, they're asking for a nice little standout door. So I thought it looked very nice. So that's been approved unanimous, 10 Gooseberry, unanimous. And that was Keith, Rich, and Joe Jean. Okay, 7 Bramble Way. That sounds familiar. I don't think we did it yet. And that's exterior paint color change using pre-approved Sherwin-Williams color, pewter green, and coordinating white trim. So I move to approve.
Second.
That's Keith, Joe Jean, Rich.
Oh, I'm good, but just to be clear, pewter green is actually gray with green tint. It's absolutely gray. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they call that green.
And you don't like gray, do you?
We have enough gray in the Northwest. Just a little pop of color here and there is not a bad thing.
Okay, 10. Okay, on to 28 Tumbling Water Drive. This is what is this? Notes, see notes. Oh, okay. So this one is a relocation of the propane tank from behind the house. It's behind the upstairs deck right now, and they want to move it, best I could tell, right in front of the house, right in front of where they park their car.
Um,
And I mean, it's right, it would be right on the street, like right there in front of their house, like boom.
How are they going to camouflage it?
Well, that's like where it is right now. It's kind of camouflaged behind the house, almost under their deck, but it's like not under their deck. It should have been probably put under their deck. It's where I would recommend they move it to instead of moving it to the front of the house. So
Well,
they don't have
it
anything.
does move it up the hill. The front of the house uphill. I guess I'm forgetting where this is. I know where 28
No.
Drive is. Let me look at
You
it.
can move it up the hill.
That's what it says. I thought that meant moved it up against the retaining wall, but then I'm thrown off by the parking spot thing.
Well, and so was I. So in the back of their house where it's currently at, but then they show it 15 feet more. Move. See that with the arrow, 15 feet up. They are moving it up the hill. But then what's the spot down below?
And it says tank location.
Oh, I love it when there's pictures. That makes it easier. Yeah, it's not going in front of their house. There's definitely no room to put it in front of the house.
No.
They're going up. So there's pictures on Zillow.
No, I went there. Yeah, I was just trying to get an idea where, because I was just thinking parking spot.
He's going with a smaller tank and up the hill with it. So it's actually the best part about this is the propane company will come do this for him. But all he has to do is he just digs like an 18-inch deep trench to the new location. They'll come and cut that old line and run a new line for him all the way to his meter, and then just put a smaller tank up there. He's got tons of room. There's a really good picture on Zillow of his property and where the retaining wall is. So he's just going up the hill.
Let me pull it up real quick.
And I think all we would say for screening, I would just say vegetative screening. He's got a bunch of ferns there already if he's so inclined. Have you guys ever tried to dig one of these ferns up to move it? Oh my gosh. That's a labor of love. I moved one in my front yard a long time ago, and I bet it took me 3 hours to get it dug out.
I've tore a couple out. I haven't moved them.
Well, the crazy part is you can move them in the middle of the summer and they'll survive anything. It's crazy. They can make it through anything, but yeah, they're beautiful if you give them some time to mature. And he's got a bunch of nice ones on that hillside that he can put in front of that propane tank.
All right, so you want to make a motion?
I would move to approve with the comment he needs to put vegetative screening in front of it.
Georgine?
I'll second.
Okay, so 28 Tumbling Water Drive, which is item number 17, is moved to approve. Second by Joe Jean, approved with vegetative screening as a comment, mandatory vegetative screening. Deer resistant vegetative screening. And when we find out what that is, we'll let them know. All right, item number 18, I believe we did. That's 31 Bramble Way. We're going to go to item number 19 we did was 20 Sweet Clover Circle. We did that, right? That was a new.
Yeah, we did Sweet Clover.
Yeah. New construction. And then item number 20, 2 Jasper Ridge. That's where you saw it. I was wondering, where'd you see that one? So we're back to this one again. It's a lattice work. I'm not sure why it's on here.
Wait a sec, which one are we talking about?
The last one, item number 35 Stable Lane, isn't it? 35 Stable Lane?
Yeah.
Wait a
No,
minute,
we're
what?
talking about Jasper Ridge.
What happened?
Because Jasper Ridge was resubmitted with, because when we talked about it at the last meeting, we deferred it because they said lattice and we didn't like lattice. And so they submitted it with JPS Builders. So they're going to frame.
All right, I got something different.
Wait, we're talking two things. Item 20 is 2 Jasper Ridge. And Have we seen that before? Because we've seen number 22 before.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, 20 we have not seen before, sorry.
I don't have
Oh,
Jasper.
no, yeah, we did. We deferred it on the August 4th.
Okay, but we have-
Resubmittal with the material list. And they've got the item 20.1 shows the,
Yeah, his items that he's gonna use to cover his deck with.
yeah.
So,
The problem is he wants to use corrugated polycarbonate roofing. And we don't allow that.
well, so his does say corrugated, but the polycarbonate is actually a good one. We've used that on a couple greenhouses here, and it's a flat roof.
Yeah, it's like cardboard, but it's plastic and
Yes.
translucent. Lets light through.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
SunTough is the brand he notes. He says SunTough brand or similar.
Yeah, carbonate, plastic roof panels. So, but yeah, if it's those, then yeah, no way.
But yeah, when you look at them, yeah, they're corrugated, huge. The 26 by 6 foot panels.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, you pick them up at Home Depot, and
those aren't gonna work. So the one I was looking at, it's a polycarbonate, but it is like you're saying, it's like cardboard and it's flat and it looks nice. It's great for greenhouses. You don't get the corrugated look, you know, and it looks like a nice flat panel. It's maybe a 1/2 inch thick or 5/8 thick or so. Almost like a dual pane window is what it looks like.
yeah.
All right, so we're fine with everything except for
The roof material.
roofing. And that's, I put a
He
big
needs to
note.
give us, actually, this is what I would say. We need to see a sample or a picture of the actual product he's gonna install. You can't say or similar, because when you do a quick Google search of polycarbonate or even corrugated polycarbonate panels, you get a pretty wide variety, but most of them look like the panels that we don't allow.
Yes.
So he would need to have a very specific roofing material. Because
So in this case, when we're looking at this would be denied as submitted. So it's not that he couldn't resubmit with the proper stuff. Right now, it's currently denied the way it has been submitted. We're not gonna approve this corrugated roof. So,
it's the same. The only problem is Joe Jean's right. Technically, if we deny something, it's not supposed to be resubmitted for a certain amount of time. So if we defer it and say, and give them our comments why we deferred it and did not approve it, then it gives them a chance to resubmit it at the next meeting.
And I mean, it was deferred to resubmit material list.
Yeah.
I guess we don't like the material list, the roofing.
Yeah, I don't like the roofing. That's the only thing. Everything else looks great.
okay. So we wanted to defer it. Defer it until suitable roof choice has been selected. I don't know.
Well, and like I said, we can make the note that it can't be polycarbonate, or if he's going to use a polycarbonate product, he needs to give us a sample or a picture of a sample of what he's planning on using.
Okay, so I'm gonna say we're gonna defer until approved roof choice can be selected and must provide sample to committee of roof.
I didn't realize they made it in so many colors.
I know.
Red. Wow.
Okay, so that was number 2, and then we're in agreement with that, Joe Jean?
Yes,
Okay, so we're all need a picture. Okay, that was 2 Jasper. Okay, and then last one we already did, that was the Granite Hill construction or the ADU unit we talked about. And then why do I have 3 Stable Lane on the back of my thing stuck here?
Because we're doing it again, because I can't remember if we deferred it or what, but we didn't like the lattice.
The lattice.
Because it looked pretty tacky, but driving around the neighborhood this last week, I've seen a lot of that stuff out. And you know, maybe if it was only a 4-foot tall one and then had vegetation screening in front of it, it wouldn't look bad.
Yeah, I think she wants to put a tall one up though.
Yeah, but the taller they are, the worse they're gonna look over time.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I thought we deferred it, saying that lattice wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, I thought that's what we said. I thought that we said no to lattice, but we should.
But like I say, I've seen an awful lot. We might just not notice it when we're driving by, but a lot of houses have them.
Yeah, I actually see it. I don't like it. It looks,
Well,
some of it looks good, but most of it does not look good at all.
yeah, but that's.
It's warped and.
Yeah, well, then we need to suggest, for some reason, I think that she might not have a lot of finances to build some great big thing. And that's why she was going with what she chose.
Yeah, I thought.
Just out of curiosity. Go ahead.
Didn't we recommend just the basic screen panel that you can pick up at Lowe's? It's.
I thought we.
Yeah, and even vegetative screening, we kind of come up with some other ideas. Like just put vegetative screening. You don't have to put a wood panel there.
Yeah, I remember we had a bunch of comments on it.
Yeah, I think she must have talked to Dee or something, because I think Dee talked to me about this, and this lady was thinking about like Home Depot and stuff have artificial green stuff that you hang on this kind of
on the lattice.
Yeah, and it looks, you know, it's green and it looks nice, but she doesn't have to worry about watering it because it's made out of plastic.
Well, they do make, I saw that trellis thing, I mentioned that last time. It's kind of like an expandable thing you can grab and open it. It's some trellis thing and it's got greenery on it. It's plastic, you know, it's all plastic and metal, but it looks really kind of cool. And it's made to go on that lattice, you know, to kind of dress it up. I mean, that's up to you guys. I mean, we mentioned a privacy panel. We mentioned vegetative screening. We just didn't like a piece of lattice just stuck there by itself.
And she was going to paint it the same color of the house. And painting it the same color of the house wasn't going to kind of hide it.
Well, it'll also strengthen it up probably too. It'll help keep the weather out of it. So,
Well,
Joaquin, you sound like you're more in favor of or inclined of voting or making a motion, and you certainly can do that if you want to make a motion to approve.
Maybe we should defer again and give her our recommendations a little clearer.
I'm okay with that.
Georgine, I'll let you make the motion on this and the recommendations how you want.
Well, first off, I think she should have not an 8-foot tall screening, and the other things that you mentioned, I think were good. You said the thing you could pull out and it had green on it. See, I never go to hardware stores and stuff, so I never see these kind of things.
Yeah, that one was at Lowell's. I think I saw that one. But Home Depot has it too. So you want to say 6 foot tall max?
Yeah, that'd be better than 8.
Yep. And then so vegetative screening, but it could be a vegetative screening.
Yeah.
And then paint to match house.
Well, I think that's what she was going to recommend last time. Yeah, I will paint it green to match the shutters. And, I think what really turned us off was your first picture. I mean, and that, it looks like it's almost as tall as the house and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
That's why I think a shorter one would look a lot better.
All right, so then maybe what we do is we make the motion to approve with the caveat of 6 foot tall max, vegetative screening and paint to match house.
Okay,
Does that sound good?
I'm on board with that.
yeah.
All right, that's Joe Jean and Rich, and we'll make that unanimous. That way it kind of covers her and she can have a few different options. Okay, and that's not even on our agenda. How did that happen, or is it? Did I not see it?
It's on there.
Oh, it is on there. Surely is. All right, 3 Stable Lane. All right, guys. Let's see. Phone die. Wow. All right, we're going to call this meeting to an end unless you guys have anything else you want to add tonight. Okay, we're going to